We'll get started on some Ace Attorney. We'll go get some water and then I'll get started. Okay. Played a game of Enter the Gungeon like I did yesterday, except this time I actually beat it. Oh, hi, Katie. Oh yeah, that's right, I left it on her. There's the guide. Okay. Yeah, but if that game's anything like Exit the Gungeon, or Enter the Gungeon, you have to beat it with every character, and there's probably a secret final boss or something. That dragon guy only hit me 3 times, and I had like full health and like 8 hearts or something. My only preference for using your laptop is that you respond faster, so I know what you're talking about. A lot of times I'm like, what? What are you referencing? Because I did something like a couple minutes ago. But you do whatever you want. Why not both? on different accounts. Alright. Do whatever you want.
Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Good morning, Maggie.
So, what do you think is gonna happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well, and ended on a giant mystery.
That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet.
Are you okay, Nick?
Huh? Oh, yeah, of course.
I saw that.
Oh, sorry. Whoops.
I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes.
No, it wasn't doubt. That was a determination. I'm filled with it.
Why don't I believe you?
It's nearly time, Maggie. You better go. You better get going to the defendant's seat.
Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Mer.
Hey, pal. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How do you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help.
Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too?
Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. Don't you remember finding it? This is a small bottle that turned up in a Twabian kitchen a couple days ago.
Wow, look at all these little bottles.
Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many, they're overflowing onto the floor.
Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others.
Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either.
And it doesn't smell.
And then the guy swimming this made a reference to that. What is that, Princess Diaries movie or whatever? Princess Bride. Oh yeah, whatever. Anyway, we finally got the analysis results back from the lab.
So, what is it? Is it a poison?
I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication.
Medication?
Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Gwen Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. I think it's Princess Diaries. I purposely made Gumshoe get the reference wrong that I had referenced earlier. But yeah. What was Glen Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? Yeah, found in the kitchen. Oh, what about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour, and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... that's gonna weaken its impact as evidence. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today, got it? Whatever that means. Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Ace Attorney. Third game in the trilogy.
Yes, Nick, we know.
Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Maggie Bird. They're frozen. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. They're fine. My mom gave away probably like a half to 2/3 of our berries to the neighbors, so I'm stuck to frozen berries now. Yesterday, we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. She was like, I always give berries away to neighbors after we get them. And I was like, I know. And then she did. And I was like, I paid for those. And they're like, we'll pay you back. And I'm like, but that's not the point. I wanted the berries. Anyway. I was fine with them giving berries to the guy who gave us fireworks. And the guy who gave me face masks when I came to see you. And the other neighbor that handmade face masks. You know what? It's fine. That's fine. They deserve berries. Well, they deserve berries. We'll get more berries later. Like next weekend or something. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet, the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. And yet there he is. Look at him go.
It's amazing how many
Hold on. These frozen berries are actually harder to eat. Maybe I shouldn't eat them while I talk.
It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, Honik.
Ah, he's got the music. Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. Yeah, I don't really like the drink sound effect. But they kind of had to put a sound effect there, and I don't know what would have made me happy, but it's not that. This music, though. So good. I hate jazz with a burning passion, but this song. Okay. Anyway. Are you implying that you resolved these contradictions? Do you know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seeds in here, he was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. You may like the genre he's playing though. Smooth jazz, I think. This song, if you go on YouTube and look it up, like... Ace Attorney is a game that not that many people play. It's kind of a niche series. So, you know, I mean, songs will probably have, you know, a couple of popular songs will probably have like 1 million views or something. Let me look up this song. Oops. I can see the view count. This song, Fragrance of Dark Coffee, has 9.6 million views. So, compared to like, what's it called? Cornered, the song that plays when you're like getting them and it's like dun 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 dun. Ace Attorney. There's a redone version of it that has 1.4 million. It's a good version though. They keep adding layers to it, so it gets crazier and crazier as it goes. But what I'm saying is that the series itself is niche. This song transcended the series and just became like a legitimate, like, pretty well-known jazz song. That's how good it is. Anyway, that's all I'm trying to say. And today I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand. Oh, great. I have to do this guy's voice for how long? Oh my gosh, I just realized I'm gonna have to do somebody else's voice that, like, sucks, too. And you are?
Oh, bonjour everyone. I am Gilles Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Tribienne Restaurant Enchanté.
Enchanted? I don't know. Do you see how his butt was sticking out? Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman? I feel like this game would not fly these days because of everybody's inability to tell if he's a woman or a man and call him either or.
Oh la la, monsieur. As you can see, I am the pert and perky gentleman, no?
Because I think he also calls himself a girl at sometimes, and he just called himself a perky gentleman. But anyway. On the day of the incident, were you in Trebian's kitchen? Oh, you were in Trebian's kitchen. Isn't that right?
With you, monsieur. Everything feels right.
Huh. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Does anything intimidate this guy? Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Trebian.
Oui, volunteers.
I don't... Sure, volunteers? I don't know. Stop saying French at me. Okay, at Trebian.
When it all happened, there was just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decors that day.
I don't know.
Like having a large mirror between la tables, for example. Oui, perhaps that is what la old man was looking at.
So he had giant mirrors up that day that he didn't have at any other time? This is why you cross-examine literally everybody. You go, Your Honor, we have to talk to everyone because they might have information. I'm just saying, that's kind of ridiculously important.
Look up, la earpiece and la glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no?
Oh, he's explaining why the old man saw things in reverse. A mirror?
Oui, un grand mirror. La most enormous mirror.
His butt's sticking out. And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. Oh yeah, he's got the butt thing or whatever they were doing. I don't know, I just skipped to the part you said. I'm assuming they were trying another one of those weird stimulation things, like the pregnancy one and the Gatorade bottle sliding across the floor towards their groin. Yeah, those types of machines. Anyway. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. They tried a lot of butt products. Great. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. At Trebian. When it all happened, there was just 2 customers in my restaurant. And who were the 2 customers exactly?
Me? Mice, of course.
Mice? Mace? Of course.
The young man who died. And the other, not so young man.
You are referring to yesterday's witness, I presume. What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence.
We need some hard evidence before we can bring him up, don't we?
I guess we'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. I remember I was experimenting with some new art deco that day. You were experimenting with art deco? Art deco? Is that what it is? Art deco, right? Art deco? How come I never heard about that before today?
You are not familiar with this language of interior design, monsieur?
Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell me about this before?
But I did, just a few moments ago.
Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decoction? Okay, Google, what is this decoction? What does it mean? It is... What? I still don't even understand what that means. A concealed liquor resulting from heating or boiling a substance, especially a medicinal preparation made from a plant. It's like an industrial term for separating alcohol or something? What? No, Art Deco. It's style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about the interior design, walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing.
Ah, yes, of course. That's Deco.
I was trying to achieve a la effeminate look for my restaurant.
Really? More effeminate? Okay.
I was planning the most bold remodeling of la decor.
I mean, it looks like a small girl's room, but... Sure.
Like having...
Oh, like having a large mirror between la tables, for example. How big of a mirror are we talking about here?
Oof! Something about 4 meters wide and about 2 meters high.
Let's see, if 1 meter is about 1 yard, holy glass in a frame, that's huge!
I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually.
The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember.
Mess no, but I decided not to go through with it in the end.
Ceiling mirrors are actually kind of cool in restaurants, I think. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? Sure, why not? If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies.
But...
You didn't ask right. You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work.
What?
A mirror was delivered to Trebian the day before the incident.
Really?
As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end.
This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trebian, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime.
If you want to doubt someone, try it. Look in the mirror.
But the mirror's not there, that's the whole point!
Oh, sorry, okay. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough.
So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror.
Perhaps that is what that old man was looking at. Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object.
Normally? How does normally come into this? That's lame, Tret, even for you.
Huh?
Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-notch chick over there? And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here? Well tried?
Ah, not the hair!
I do not have a top knot. Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument.
What? I feel like whenever the prosecutors say objection, they're diverting from the point tremendously. They're like, you can't do that because I said so. And the judge is like, I agree. He did say so. Yeah.
Bien, logic has won la day.
Kept the earpiece and the glasses. You would have seen everything in reverse. Everything? You would have seen everything in reverse?
Oui. Hey, Nick, we should take a second think about what old CD said in his testimony.
How did he rephrase it again?
The boy is wearing the earpiece on the same side of the green lens as his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was a left ear without a doubt. I want to use the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand.
If he saw everything described reflected in the mirror, then everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh?
And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, except the part where he was like, I was trying to read his paper. Because the letters would have been reversed. And he wouldn't notice. It's kind of hard to believe that everything's the fault of a mirror, but... And like... I'm looking through a mirror to see somebody over there. I'm gonna see myself, too. I don't understand the mirror thing.
You think old City saw everything through a reflection?
If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony.
But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's got to be something that old man in that old man's testimony. Just got to dig deeper.
When it all happens, there was just two. Oh, okay. We've already 3, 4, 5. So we need to present Glenn Elg's profile. Because as you can clearly see from this profile, it's on the left part of his thing. He wore an HMD over his left eye. The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Well, let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we?
Boy is wearing an earpiece on the same side of the green lens as his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt.
I already just did this. So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side.
Exactamente. You see, Monsieur, now that you think about it, it's not all so hard, huh? Non?
Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Oh right, because the HMD isn't reversible, I guess.
Order, order! It's time to order food for the first time today in this court. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
Bitter. Right, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time.
Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different?
Don't understand the way the witness thinks.
How he thinks.
You remember this, I presume.
The I broke the vase sorry apology I mean, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony?
Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg?
Coffee does not calm one down. Yeah, I know. It amps you up. Apparently it calms down Godot. That's why he drinks 17 cups or something.
It calms me down from my death state into my alive state.
I'm not sure that's a more calm state, Mr. Godot.
Clearly the victim's eyepiece.
And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man.
I saw the... Oh boy, here we go. Godot. Impersonating this guy
With Godot, I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear, do you hear? His left ear. Ah, well tried.
Ugh. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever. Thank you. I think.
Wow, I really thought he was old City for a minute there. Godot's good.
Well, thanks, Maya. I really appreciate that.
Enough. Never do that impression again. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony.
But look, Nick. Looks like a boil of a contradiction you just found. He's just a rash.
What?
A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at?
Like, what would your impression of me be like? I have no idea. Because I'm doing an impression of two voices I can do, not an impression of a voice I can't do. Like, you're asking me to like do your voice, and it's like I actually just can't do it. So I'm not sure how. I don't know how to go about that.
Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We are all ears. Well, most certainly me. I do not have eyes, so I am more ear than the rest of the people.
Oui, I can explain. Please, if you look at the plans of the restaurant.
The mirror. You talk to this guy. That looks like.
Hello, is everyone sitting comfortably? The mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves.
Hate it when he shoves his ooze in our ooze in our face with the rose in his mouth. I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, if that was there, then then Victor wasn't sitting at the bottom on the right. He was sitting up and to the left. Like, completely in a spot where he couldn't have seen another person. Right? Yeah, exactly, like that.
There is only one seat from where you could have seen an image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victims. That was where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
That's a lie, you touched the ticket.
I see no problems with the explanations we have just heard. From the table next to the victim, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
The naughty little coquette. I am confusing all the men like this.
Coquette? Do I have to Google again? I don't want to Google anything you're talking about, Armstrong. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. We can keep up. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there. Again.
Arg! I hate that guy. Who is this masked man?
You said you didn't touch anything. You said you didn't touch anything aside. Anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
Volunteers? Of course.
A woman who flirts. Oh, okay. Word that I hope my memory discards as soon as possible. Alright.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you please.
Okay. So, I would literally just go like right to here. I didn't touch anything else and be like the lottery ticket. But that's not what I'm supposed to do because Phoenix Wright logic. Let's start pressing. La Mir, it was in the middle of La Restaurant, dividing the two halves. So run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct? We? Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way. Why do you have to press if you know the answer? I mean, I don't. I could just skip straight to everything and like speedrun the game, but pressing is like kind of part of the... I don't know, it's part of the game? Sometimes I get sick of people and I'm like, I just want to go past them. I might feel like that later when we get to the next guy.
Look is talking right.
And anyways, that's not the right answer. I have to look at the guide to find the answer. Pressing is sometimes required, but sometimes you can just present the proper evidence on the proper statement. So like for this thing specifically, it looks like I can just present stuff. But on the next thing, it looks like I have to do pressing to move forward. So typically when you play the game, you press everything in case you're having to press stuff, and then you present evidence if pressing didn't get you further. With a guide, you can just skip that in certain sections. You can go straight to just presenting evidence. Because you like literally know the answer. The other thing is, sometimes when pressing isn't what you're supposed to do, the game will give you hints about what you are supposed to do. So, I'm kind of playing the game the way it's meant to be played. Huh?
You're obstructing my view, among other things.
But this is my seat in the courtroom. Wait, they're not sitting.
Drabian's charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way.
Yeah, it would be.
Unlike you, Trite.
I tell you, Monsieur, the mirror is there in the middle of the restaurant.
A very important fact that we're only learning about now. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. And where would that be?
Lola, look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer.
Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once.
I attract the other ones too. You know, handsome. Shall I tease you too?
Bailiff, please kill this man.
I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time.
I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume.
I think she's probably dead.
Bien, I tell you, there was only one seat from which you could have seen it.
I might not press everything here just because I don't particularly like this character. So I'll kind of, I don't know. I usually play it by ear. Sometimes I press everything, and sometimes I press a couple things and then I do it, and sometimes I just do it because I'm sick of it. As this guy wears on me, I'll probably go faster. So, can you only see the victim from that particular seat?
Monsieur, is obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. The victim would have been reflected in the mirror, like so. You are sitting in the restaurant table next to him. You will see everything, no? So, that's the seat he was sitting on that day.
Sitting in on that day. Okay.
When the poisoning happened.
The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim. Why does that seem kind of odd? It seems odd because... Because... he broke the vase at his seat, but it wasn't broken. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words yesterday strongly contradict Mr. Armstrong's testimony.
This is the letter of apology that was written by Mr. Kudo, is it not?
I realize it looks useless, Your Honor, but this is still testimony.
Ha, I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things.
What relevance does this scrap of paper have to the trial, Mr. Wright?
Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question at hand, Your Honor. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. There's a photo somewhere. Yeah, that one. Yeah, because there's the base right there. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor.
The crime photo.
Yes. This photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist.
What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
Should not exist. Ha, sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite.
Nice job, Godot.
Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo?
That right there. There's one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there's an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from.
Exactly. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Très Bien that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie!
Mon Dieu!
Mon Dieu? I don't know. Is that like Dios Mio or something?
Don't try to confuse the court, right? Obviously, the witness cleaned up the base, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary in his own words. I did not touch anything.
I did not touch anything except for the mirror.
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. Yeah? Someone just walked by, opened my door, said nothing, and left. Weird. Okay, I guess the door just opened by itself. Magical door. I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear which he couldn't hear?
Ah, you only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. You want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, right? This problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw?
If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it.
Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? Or should I call my sister?
There's more than just There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya.
What do you mean?
Remember what Maggie told us?
There was another
man at the victim's table. Sorry, I'm terrible at Maggie's voice. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table or something like that. And it all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason. Why nothing in this case is adding up.
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is example. The ear doctor made a mistake. The victim was a phony. A big fat phony. This is apparently the answer. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet there's one very simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident that the victim experienced were two completely different events. Oh, they staged the death. What? So that he would see it. Yes, the victim in Mr. Kudo's... Wow. Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenelg at all. It was an imposter, a phony, a big fat phony in fact, pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. I guess it makes sense because there was a Phoenix imposter and then there's a Glenelg imposter, right? So it's just that one guy who's doing multiple things. Staging multiple people. Because people in this universe are so dumb they can't tell the difference between Tigre and Right, so it makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Is there somebody like that? Ultimate high school level imposter? There's a disguised person, right? I know that. Danganronpa 2, yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
Order in the court. Settle down, or I'll clear the courtroom.
Wait, Gramps, why don't you clear out of here, huh?
What did you say?
Right. Are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup?
Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenelg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning, all for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
It's real tried. Why would anyone want to do that?
Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was...
A serving girl brought him a Giovacchino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
It's so hard to believe, but
There was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Are you insinuating that the waitress and the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but it was also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening.
that's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct?
Oh la la, this is most difficult for me.
No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath after all. Was there, in fact, a phony, a big fat phony, at Très Bien that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened.
The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events of what was happening in the restaurant that day.
We.
In the restaurant. I hate Gene Armstrong. We gotta press a bunch of stuff, so yeah.
The victim, Monsieur L. He came into my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers.
He's going Super Saiyan! Okay.
When he got the word he won la lottery, Mon Elk became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that a poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for a phony, a big fat phony, to do the acting.
Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant, after all.
Oh my gosh.
Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor.
Forgive me, I forgot that I lied about there being a mirror in the restaurant, and there wasn't.
I lied because I want this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong, like every other person who has ever testified in court in Ace Attorney. I will decide how to punish you later.
Oui.
For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please.
Well, at least he's getting perjuried. Or whatever. He took that perjury charge a bit too well. Probably because he's like, if I'm in jail, there's going to be all sorts of guys that like me. And also, that's not what I was originally thinking. He's probably thinking because if I'm in jail, I can't be loan sharked or whatever. Those people are trying to get him to pay him back. Okay. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after the cross-examination. That's what I was thinking, and then I thought the other thing. Anyway. The victim, Monsieur Elg, he came into my restaurant alone. Was he alone at his table as well?
Monsieur, I saw him in from the kitchen.
Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table.
Huh. Unfortunately for you, Tried. Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite.
What kind of coffee has he been drinking?
It's not coffee, it's love. It's a love that's bittersweet.
Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct?
Oui, it comes often for my special coffee.
I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth A sip, just for the experience.
Oh, you make me so happy, Monster. You're most welcome anytime.
I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more.
Wrecked. Okay. So, old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. What time was it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oh, no, I cannot remember, Monster.
I believe we were told by our witness yesterday.
The crime scene was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, so...
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., no?
Just after 2, huh?
Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, Monster. You are wonderful.
Ha ha ha, I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I?
Well, you mostly do, Judge, but
The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony.
Oui, Monster Judge. Everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? Ha ha ha.
I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood.
He's even humming a song to himself.
I remember the old man arrived not long after him, just after 2 p.m. Are you absolutely sure about the time?
And I think really hard. I am sure it was just after 2, oui. It is the time I stopped serving the lunch menu.
Quite right. I always break for lunch when restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just to make it on time.
Wind up a case early just to make it on time for lunch. Okay, Judge.
Ha ha.
I guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch.
If only my orders would come in on time. I just don't understand why it's so hard to deliver to a courtroom. Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already. Order. Order.
Witness, get on with your testimony, please.
There are no other customers.
So your only customers were Mr. Kudo and the victim?
How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Trite? You'd never catch me drinking the same blend twice.
Huh?
You're trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant, but you're wasting your time. You can't grind birdseed to make coffee. You catch my drift.
But there's a hole in this testimony somewhere, I'm sure of it. When he got the word he won the lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. Did you see him?
No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, yes, Alpha Million Bucks.
Presumably the defendant heard that too then, correct?
Mickey? She looked like a poor little frightened dove.
And what about that Mr. Kudo guy?
The old man choked on some bird seeds that he got stuck in his throat.
It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands.
So, wait, what? Oh, okay. So, basically, yeah, we have the flyer, right? There's some sort of radio flyer in here. There it is. Experience the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life every Monday at 1:30 p.m. The old man arrived not long after him, just at 2, but remember Kudo was like, oh, he was screaming about monies or whatever. He was listening to the radio, and I was trying to listen into him, or something like that. So if that's true, then the times are off. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong.
Quoi? What do you mean?
At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of $500,000 lottery ticket. The number, wow. Each week they announce the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket.
Oui, that must be the show Mont Elk was listening to.
I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright.
I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct?
Oui, oui, oui. I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu.
Get to the point, right, if you have one. That show was broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. And it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life.
It's on the air at 1:30.
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when he announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier at that point in time. Wait, wouldn't it have finished 20 minutes earlier? It's not 1:30 to 1:40, it's 1:20 to 1:30? That flyer would screw me over, bud. Alright. Maybe they mean like, I don't know. No! This victim would have been told about, this victim we've been told about hasn't done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum? Catching a show that was already over? There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the empoisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Très Bien that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and the phony, big fat phony Glen Elg, acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Quite the performance, Trite. You were almost on the roll. But sadly, you lacked the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song.
What is this, Music Theory 101?
Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Glen Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elg is?
I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at the time, the real Glen Elg was already dead.
That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say.
What?
Now I presume you can prove this theory of yours.
I love this song.
Can you explain where the missing corpse went to?
The missing corpse?
According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. That customer was the phony Glen Elg. Then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim?
Narg! Probably in the kitchen, which is worst place ever to have a dead body. Anyway, that's why my food tasted so bad.
The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body?
Yes, Your Honor.
No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden.
Evidence?
What's with this intense pressure in here all of a sudden?
I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead.
Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Glen Elg concealed?
It was in the kitchen? It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Très Bien.
Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed inside Très Bien is on the table Mr. Kudo was eating off of, or whatever, drinking off. Gonna be a kitchen. The body was hidden here.
I see.
Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location?
His ear ointment. Found in the kitchen. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle?
No, 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 no. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright?
Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Trebien.
Qui? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils.
But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication.
What kind of medication?
I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they, that Mr. Elg visited an otolaryngological clinic and was given medication that day.
You can't be serious.
The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elg.
Huh.
Mr. Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant's kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen?
Mon Dieu!
Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back.
No!
Order. This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elg?
Never! I could not do such a horrible thing.
No! Mr. Godot.
Bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules.
Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now?
Then I'd like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I'd like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. What about the brand new flavor in your ear of my H-deficient friend?
Oh, okay.
How about the brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficient friend?
Because he doesn't say H ever. There's like Av and stuff like that.
Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It's a trap. Listen to me, por favor.
It's Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap. Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish.
I feel like Katie needs to see that, and she's not here right now. Why is the judge is speaking Spanish now? So. Can't believe I've been doing this for an hour already. Crazy. Doesn't feel like I have been. I know Godot likes his coffee, but I feel like we're the same way with blueberries. So who am I to judge? It's a good little mini break for me. Now let's start moving on. Alright, move on. Alright, yeah, let's get this case over with. Let's do this.
I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it?
No, no, no. Absolutely no. I simply.
Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Gramps?
The witness. The court will now permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel.
And my spiky hair!
Oui, it's clear.
What do they all have to say? What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this.
Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong.
The confession.
It's true. I ate the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear, you must believe me.
You were forced. By who?
I cannot say, but I will be erased.
Let's try a different question then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table?
There was. There was another man.
I knew it.
Maggie was telling the truth.
You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright.
Okay. We accused Mr. Armstrong of hiding the body of Glenn Elg in the kitchen during the staging part of the murder. He said he actually did it. He did hide the body, but he said he was forced to do it. And then we're like, well, was there another person there? And he was like, yes, there was another person at the table with Mr. Elg. And we're like, oh. And Godot said something like, every time I am lied to, I drink a cup of coffee. And something like, no, or something when he found out all this stuff. I don't know. Anyway. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Oh, and the judge said something in Spanish. He was like, yo hablo español. Or something like that. And he was like, what you just said was Spanish. Or something to Gene Armstrong guy. The confession. It is true. I id la body in la kitchen. I love like this amped up version of this song. It's so good. Did you carry the body by yourself?
Oui, I carried him, and I carried Maggie too.
Maggie too?
When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted.
I think it'd be lay. I think not la. Could be wrong. Oh, like they got it backwards, or maybe I misread it.
I could not leave there.
But why did you hide the bodies?
A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. What man? Who was he? Who was this masked man?
No, I cannot say. I fear for my life.
He's really scared.
You'll just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick.
Yeah, you're right. If he won't tell me, I'll tell him.
But why would you go along with this man?
I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. And what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong?
You know, Monsieur,
Yes?
surely you cannot expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment?
A maiden? You're a bit old to get away with that.
And a bit too male.
I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason, so I'll just have to prove it with evidence. Oh, was that his whole thing? Yeah. Wait. Okay, yeah. There's a reason I couldn't refuse. So there's like he's got a loan contract in here somewhere. Cause he's in debt, right? Did I miss it already? Oh, there it is. I hope you enjoy your veggies. What kind of veggies did you get? You have $500,000 debt, don't you?
$500,000. Is this true, Mr. Armstrong?
Oui, je suis désolé. I was weak and I borrowed the money.
Zucchini and corn. Zucchini. This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you.
Oui, it is as you say.
Mr. Armstrong.
La Tiger. He told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting with the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried the body and the inconscient Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen.
I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre.
I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket were found in that defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well?
No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it, I was not. It is despicable.
Mr. Godot, you will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow.
"30 minutes.
What?
The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more.
How the...
Don't sit back and relax yet, Trite. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. The trial could still go either way.
Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot.
Actually, like... You're kind of screwed at this point, Godot, just saying.
We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand.
Because we've already had a guy say, oh, there was a mirror there, so that's why the guy didn't see that thing. Actually, there wasn't a mirror there. Okay, I carried bodies out of the scene. There was another person there. It's like, dude, you're going to have to go and prove Maggie did some stuff. Like, it's hard. It's on you at this point. I'm just saying.
Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess.
I'm gonna close my window for this part because I have to do Tigre's voice. I feel bad for the neighbors. January 8th, 1:21 p.m. District Court Lobby. Defendant lobby. Hobby Lobby.
So, we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. We've almost got this case won now, Nick.
I wish I could agree.
Huh?
When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. The Godot picked up on it, remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he testified is the truth. Hobby Lobby in Oregon? Yes. I've been to one once. It was filled with middle-aged women. That's all I remember. I went there with my boss because we went to get some easels to put some poster boards on, because I was making poster boards every month for like the CEO guy or whatever. And like, Yeah, I went there in the middle of the day, and it was like filled to the brim with middle-aged women. And my boss called it. He was like, when we go in there, it's gonna be all middle-aged women. And I went in there and I was like, it's all middle-aged women. I was like, he's right. They have hobbies, and they're in the lobby. Okay, anyway.
You mean you think Mr. Armstrong was lying?
Well, he lied like 5 times in his testimony, so I don't know. But if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence that we're going to need. Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe!
What are you so jumpy about, detective? Your hair is standing on end.
Hey, that's the pot calling the kettle black, little Miss Top Knot.
It's not a top knot.
Never mind about the hair, just calm down, all right?
I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I get kind of wound up. Ah!
No kidding.
You gotta have something you need me to do, pal. Anything.
Well,
Hey, I'm gonna take a jog back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analyzed for you if you got an hour.
an hour? The trial will have reconvened by then.
But, Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence, right?
True, without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprints analysis done in an hour?
You bet.
In that case, would you mind checking out the prints on this for me? Small bottle, right? We talked about this earlier. You're going back to the station anyway, could you find out whose prints are on this?
Oh, hey, that's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, White.
Yeah, I think it's time we solve the last mystery of who the prints on it belong to.
Sure thing, pal. Actually, that's been gnawing at me too.
Small bottle given to Detective Gumshoe. Uh-oh. Do your best.
Okay, I'll get off to the lab right away.
Don't go speeding into a telephone pole again, or a tree or whatever again, Gumshoe.
Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back.
This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess.
It's time to separate the phonies, the big fat phonies from the real guys.
So many phonies. They say the word phony so many times, and I add big fat phony almost every time to it. But it's making me realize how often they say the word phony in this case.
Court will now reconvene. Mr. Godot, did you find this Furio Tigre?
Alright. They did, and he's gonna be like, rah! Sure they did, and he's gonna go like this. Anyway. And now the neighbors can't hear that. So,
Court will now reconvene. Did you find Furio Tigre?
I even tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job. No problem.
tamed him? The guy's name may be Furio Tigre, but come on.
He's pretty lively. Be careful, he still bites.
Oh, he's not tamed.
Very well. Please show Mr. Tigre to the stand. Witness. Please state your name and occupation to the... Mr. Wright, why are you in 2 places at once? And in one of those places, you're screaming at me. Stop it, Mr. Wright.
Ah!
Don't hide under the table, Maya. Unless there's room for me down there too. I know I like his song too. I like almost all the music in these games.
Would you mind?
What are you saying to me?
Nothing. I didn't say nothing. Nothing. Honest.
Who could have guessed that the fear... Oh wait, he's Brooklyn? Who would have guessed that fear would induce a bad Brooklyn accent in the judge? Hey, he's from Brooklyn! So he's like Joey Wheeler, the only character from Brooklyn? I don't know.
I got business to take care of, you hear me? Who the hell called me into this hole?
Was it you, Spiky?
Heck no, of course not. It was the judge. Brooklyn Rage, Your Honor.
Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Where on earth is it? Don't mind me. Just carry on with the normal proceedings.
That's it. We're doomed.
Maybe you didn't hear me. I said, who the hell was it that called me here?
There's no need to shout. We can all hear you.
What do you say?
There's no point in struggling. You're caught in a snare. The relentless snare of the law. And I'm the one that hauled you in.
Ah.
Too cool.
Won't let him get the better of you, Nick.
She's not even there. Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct?
Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, mask boy.
You mean you didn't... Oh. You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Bird?
Maggie who? I got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas. And of course, well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then.
Dropped his pants. Oh, pen, yeah. Whoops.
Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder. Fennec's right. You's the one who set this up, didn't you? You's gonna regret the day you ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying?
Gulp. Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today.
Get a grip, Nick.
I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December's last year. Spent all my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from Tenderlander every single day. You just want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta. At last, I found my pen. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination. Nah! What is it? Please, witness, if you could refrain from shouting like that. I know the kind of games that you guys... that guy in the blue plays. That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just throws punches away at stupid detail till he wins.
Lowlife, me?
Listen up, Smarty. Every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $50,000 and you're just gonna borrow the cash from me.
That's one loan contract I refuse to sign.
And don't think that you're gonna hurt, and don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you tangle with the tiger.
Ha! I love a good spectator sport.
Just a minute. That's really not...
This witness is, how can I put it, a hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bedside and he'll bite everyone's head off. Yours too.
Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here.
This is so stupid.
You better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my bus. Court will now impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of the witness's testimony.
Like freaking Mo the Clown. Screw you, game.
Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can do it, Nick.
Come out from under the table there already, would you, Maya?
Tiger's alibi. It's like the angriest Mo the Clown I've ever seen in my life. Okay. So you have to go... I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all my time in the office.
Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know.
You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is.
Sharp? Is he talking about Viola Cavadaverini? Cavadaver?
It's messed up her last name. Cadaverini?
She writes everything in my scheduler. December. Mainly in the office. That's what it says, so that's where I was. That seems like a rather, sketchy schedule. Grrr.
Here he goes again. What the tiger did all of December isn't the issue.
What's important was what he was doing on the day of the murder, so now what? Press harder. Mr. Tigre,
What do you want?
if you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail,
This is a dead end, right? And you know it. Remember the rules.
No, it's essential we establish the witness's alibi accurately.
I agree.
The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day too?
Maybe you ain't listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanting to do business with me. I ain't never seen that young kid before. I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Godot, if you could please.
Mr. Tigre, the court asks you to add that last statement to your testimony.
Don't let an animal beat you, be a man! Swift is a coursing, your honor, and ask him yourself like a great typhoon. The day you was talking about, I was in the office too. I never saw that kid before. But Glenelg's calendar says he's meeting with you. Mr. Tigre, you claim you didn't know about Mr. Glenelg. But it appears that Mr. Glenelg knew you.
What?
Mr. Elg left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the tiger. And the date? December 3rd.
December 3rd. That's the day of the murder.
So, Mr. Tigre, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glenelg. Because on the very day of the incident, you met with him.
Not bad. You's actually not bad.
Sorry?
I was just messing with yous. See how good you were.
Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad.
That's one compliment I can do without. Plus, he's lying through his teeth.
Witness, please remember that you're under oath. Lies will not be tolerated. You was calling me a liar? Is that what you was doing?
Bro. Stupid game, stop it. Why would that be there? Okay. Sorry, that was probably a loud bang on the mic.
So you're saying that your claim to have never seen the kid before is the truth?
I said I'm dead serious. You better believe that.
You better believe that's the truth.
You better believe that's the truth.
Ah, then I'd say that gives me time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. That is, while you testify for the court again, Mr. Tigre.
Oh yes, would you mind indulging the court, witness?
He never actually met the victim. That's gotta be a lie right there. It's time I nailed this guy. The victim, Glenelg. We're still doing that thing where I can't press on whatever I want?
I ain't no liar. I never met with Glenelg. There was some lame guy with that name though. Wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with that guy in the office. Tender lender. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed. I ain't never been to that Trace BN joint. You's here? Now I see. That all seems perfectly logical. You had arranged to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up.
I've heard it's pretty hard to keep appointments when you're dead.
Very well. You may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
Didn't I tell you I got a big deal going down today? I ain't gonna make my bus now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's going straight to you, right?
Grr. I'll pay your bus fare to the jail or something. Okay, I'm assuming that they took, because they didn't mention that you still can't press this guy, so I'm gonna press him. And yet, your name was written on the victim's calendar.
Get that horse calendar out of my face. I'm the tiger, not a lame horse, you porcupine. Tigers like me eat horses like that for breakfast.
Also, if you look at his shirt, this is something you might not have noticed. He has a tiger fighting a dragon, I think? That's what his shirt is?
No. Witnesses aren't permitted to eat evidence. Not that they ever would. Well, there was a case once where a young lad ate.
Oh, he's referring to Phoenix when he ate the bottle. Anyway, if you had never met the victim before, how do you explain this note he left? Some lame guy with that name though wanted to borrow cash from me. It's very strange. According to the manager of the firm where the victim worked, December 3rd was the date when he had to repay his loan. He wasn't due to discuss borrowing money, but repaying what he owed.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he was right. Whatever it was going down at the beginning of December.
So you did meet Mr. Elgden.
Hey, right. You just might want to cool your jets for a sec.
Set up a meeting with the guy at my office, Tender Lender. So your meeting wasn't supposed to be at the Très Bien then?
Why would I want to go to a dump like that? If I want to talk with my clients, I got an office decked out for the job. Got the best punching bag you ever saw in there.
Not exactly a professional office you got there, you know? So you were in your office on the day in question? Waited around for him, but he ain't never showed. He didn't show up.
What do you think, Trite? Let's see. How does a dead man get from a French restaurant to a loan shark's office?
And you yourself didn't go to Très Bien?
What are you trying to pin on me here? Why don't you just come down to my office? We can chat about this thing my way, yeah? I got the best punching bag you ever saw in there.
No need. I'm good, thanks.
Listen up, I ain't got nothing more to say except this.
I ain't never been to that Très Bien joint. But we found the Très Bien matches in your office. Mr. Tigre, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches?
Matches? What you talking about? Willis.
We found them in your office at Tender Lender. They're from that restaurant.
What?
If you've really never been to Très Bien before, what was this book of the restaurant's matches doing at your desk? On your desk?
You've been stupid around my stuff too, wise guy. What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no broad controlling me. Order, well, witness. Now I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Gah! Sorry, I'm terribly sorry. Forgive me. I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. But okay, I was at the joint that day.
So I never go back on what I said, but okay, yeah, I did the exact opposite of what I said, yeah. Right. What?
But listen good, alright? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid.
Well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony.
However. Oh boy. Missed that. Water. Okay. We'll scoot along a little bit slowly. And this close to proving it was him. Did meet Glenn Ellick that day. And he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. I was just thinking about some of the stuff from this. Because there's we can see Viola or whatever her name is, putting poison in the coffee cup, but that was when they were staging it for the old man. They did that maybe because they knew he'd be looking at her? Exactly. But then he put it in the cup the first time, which we saw in like the intro, and they've referenced it several times with like the silhouette and see like Phoenix's hair because they have the same hair as Phoenix for some reason. At Très bien.
I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. That guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if that place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out and I went straight back to my office. Now I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold it.
Well, he said hold it.
Hold it. If I want to wait around here any longer, I ain't even gonna make the normal express. No more stupid questions.
Ah, no problem. Anytime Triad presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty.
Mr. Godot, that's my job.
Your job is to slam that little hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. So do it.
Yes, sir. The special express ain't cheap, right? Just so you know, since you's paying.
Oh man, doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? At Très bien. Come back, Katie. I don't want to go that far without you. Probably got like we're most of the way through this. Supposed to meet with the kid. Oh yeah, so apparently I can't press again. You went straight back. Did a bout of guilt suddenly hit you for what you did?
What are you trying to say? You trying to tell me you say never been guilty of nothing?
We all have our crosses to bear. We all have to swallow the dark secrets we hide. Like this.
The courtroom's not exactly the place to talk about dark secrets, is it?
It seems you've done it again, Mr. Wright. Another irrelevant line of questioning. I must impose a penalty accordingly.
How about a penalty for those two jokers with the garbage they keep coming up with?
Well, Nick, what do you think?
He's running out of ways to avoid the truth. I need to press him fast before he has time to think things through. I gotta come right back at him with a contradiction.
Be careful with what you press him on, though, or you'll be penalized, okay?
It's funny because the guide actually says I don't press him. Okay. So I'll just press stuff and then I'll load it. We can see some dialogue. Supposed to meet the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. So the meeting wasn't due to take place at Tenderlander at all then?
Kid was making a fuss about coming into the office. It's always that way when I want to talk about repayments. Even though I got the best punching bag you ever seen in there, seeing if there are any issues.
Maybe it's because of the punching bag that people are scared to come. So that's why you decided to meet at Trebian? Ah, we're going over old ground again, right? Sorry. You just earned yourself a penalty. Now suck it down.
You will suck down the penalty, Mr. Wright, and you will like it.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. An ugly scene? What do you mean?
The witness has already told us, right? Which makes that question irrelevant.
But
I limit myself to 17 cups of coffee during a trial. That's the rule. You better limit the number of times you take a penalty, right? Or your guts will look like the inside of a chimney, ashen. Don't make me burn you again, Mr. Wright.
I guess I shouldn't have pressed him on that.
Guess I'm gonna have to make that. Guess I'm gonna make that special express after all. So to recap, this ugly scene you saw was.
Guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. You mean you saw Glen Elg's dead body?
Yes, I did, but I only saw him from behind. He was wearing some raggedy bit of clothes he called a hat.
What time was this?
I don't know.
Huh?
You know what winds me up more than anything else in this world? Watches. Round watches. I ain't gonna pollute my paws with some ticking henpecker. And out of interest, Mr. Tigre, what winds you up the second most? Huh? What do you think? Square watches.
Is this guy for real? What did you miss? I'll fill you in just a second.
Look, all I need to know was that something bad was going down in that place.
Okay. I was just pressing stuff and taking penalties. So we talked to Tigre over 2 different pieces of testimony. The first testimony, he's like, I don't know anything. And then we're like, yeah, actually, this guy was on your calendar, so yeah. And then he went like, next piece of testimony, he was like, okay, fine, I did go to the Trebian. And so he's basically slowly admitting it because he's just some dumb guy. But basically, he's like, I had that Trebian, but he was already dead when I got there. That's what he's saying. Oh, my thing got moved. Okay. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. But you didn't, because the floor plan, you couldn't actually see it. You're something of a loan collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tigre?
No one escapes the tiger's clutches.
Well, I'm something of a lie detecting pro. Okay, cool. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight.
What's this, Trite? A new line of irrelevant questioning?
Ooh, computer's behind the phone. That's a weird one. These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tigre? From there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this.
Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat. Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head.
Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition.
Why, that's true.
Now look at the plans again. The truth is painfully obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here. Oh, he's sweating. So, from the entrance of the Très Bien, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day because you met with him.
Wrong! Wrong! Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table.
But the defense just proved that point to be moot. The victim, witnessed by Mr. Kudo, was not Glenn Elg, but a fake.
What?
In order to have Mr. Kudo falsely testify, the real killer posed as the victim. He had just killed and acted out a charade. In other words, he's a phony.
That will do. This trial has gone on long enough without the obvious question being answered here. Who exactly was this real killer who impersonated the victim? You say the killer murdered Glenn Elg, and then impersonated his victim in a performance for Victor Kudo. In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of the criminal to the court.
Well, it's Furio Tigre, Your Honor. The great impersonator. Obviously, the killer is Furio Tigre. No one else could have done it.
What? Well, witness. Grahaha! Now that's cute. You think you're gonna pin this on the tiger? Maybe you don't understand. The tiger is king of the jungle. So I dare you to say it again. Come on! You got the guts? You can't threaten me, Mr. Tigre. It's the defense. Go ahead and tell the witness, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright! Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You've got guts, I'll give you that. Mr. Wright, please don't leave me to handle this alone.
Ha! Perhaps I can end this embarrassment.
Mr. Godot.
Let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't just see the victim. No.
Servant girl brought him a cappuccino, but she put something in it. And no question about it, she very conspicuously put some white powder in there.
Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee.
Yes, it was the waitress who poisoned the coffee.
Very impressive, Mr. Godot, waiting for my absence to launch your attack.
Ha! Found your pen at last, right?
It was in my pocket. But anyway, Mr. Kudo witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Mr. Glenn Elg, and the waitress from behind.
Yes, your point, Mr. Wright.
I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glenn Elg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible that the witness is also part of the waitress is also part of the show.
What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well?
The defendant, Miss Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her.
Who on earth was it? Who was this waitress that Mr. Kudo witnessed?
It was actually Maggie Bird. No, it's Viola Cavadividiv.
Who is this woman?
Her name is Viola Cadaverini. She's an employee of the Tender Lender.
You're making a big mistake. Do you know who Violetta's grandfather is? You better be going home in an armored truck tonight if you know what I mean.
Stop shaking, Nick.
Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Bird, had stated the following.
When I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it was true that there was another customer at the restaurant. She is sort of creepy, and she was kind of had a cackling laugh.
There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table, who nobody but Miss Bird seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when that eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show is supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There's only one logical explanation that clears up all these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice, once for real and once for show. And Furio Tigre, the only person who could have committed the crime, is you.
He's gonna go, rah, or whatever. Witness, what have you got to say? That's cute. Sorry. You saw right. I could do with a guy like you around.
What do you mean?
Okay, I'm onto this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get me to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go.
Something to think about?
You just got it all wrapped up nice, huh, right? But you just missed out on one real important thing.
But that can't be.
I was in the joint that day, and I met that kid too. But I couldn't have poisoned him, you hear? What? Do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tigre?
Ha! What a troublemaker.
Troublemaker?
Looks like we're going to need another one for the road. One more steaming cup of hot testimony.
Indeed. The witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at Trebian between yourself and the victim?
Alright, here we go.
Yeah, I loaned El Cash about $100,000. That day, he was due to have a little chat. We was due to have a little chat. Kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yes, I won $500,000. He got lucky, you know? Real lucky. That waitress hadn't done what she done, everything would have been over. Now, I see that the principal amount you loaned Mr. Elg was $50,000. Yeah, well, you's got the VIG to take into account. Interest builds up fast, you know.
That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal.
And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question. Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't have no reason to kill the kid. And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case.
His motive? He has to have one, but what is it? Oh, thank you. Ties to the victim. Yeah, I loaned El Cash. About $100,000. Did he have any way of paying the loan back?
Fool was a gambler. Said he couldn't give it up till he landed a big win. So I agreed to help him. Help him? You? I kept hitting him with ideas, ways he could get a big win. But the guy kept losing.
So you were helping him for his sake? People can kill without a motive, especially if they're psychopaths.
Went through compromise. Yous helped me, I helped yous. What's the difference, huh?
But yeah. No, you're right. Usually they would establish that, though, at some point, if that's actually a thing. Like, there's some later cases where they're like, oh, this guy has, like, some weird disease or something, or... there is, at one point, I think it's game 5, there is a psychopath. Or a sociopath. If we ever get there, we'll play it. Those are good games. I think 4 is my second least favorite game. It has great music, and the art style is nice. And that's all I have to say about that game. Alright. Yeah, I don't know if there's ever a psychopath. I know there's a sociopath for sure.
Went through compromise. Yous help me, I help yous. What's the difference, huh?
I don't believe this.
Nick, would anyone really ever loan money to someone they thought was unreliable? Like, for example, if it were you, I'd only loan you $5 max.
Thanks a lot, Maya. That day we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So how much were you expecting him to pay you back on that day?
What do you think? The whole package, $100,000 including interest.
That's a real heavyweight punch.
Once a client misses his repayment, you call the whole loan in. You wanna make it in my world? That's all you's gotta know. And how many times had Mr. Ugg been late with his repayments? Once.
And how much was he supposed to pay back every month?
$50.
Sounds like Mr. Oh,
Sounds like Mr. Ugg was in a real sticky spot.
$50 and he couldn't do it. And so the guy's like, give me all the money. Yeah, at $50 a month, he'd never pay that huge loan off. So anyways, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. How much did he have left on his debt?
You just want it in round figures? About $100,000.
That's the whole amount.
We're talking about the guy who had 58 cents in his wallet.
What? You telling me he wasn't even gonna pay for the coffee? He certainly seems to have been a brave man, this Mr. Elg. That guy was smooth, I tell you, real smooth. You'll have your money in less than 5 minutes, that's what he says to me. Guy then calls the tender tiger. Calls me the tender tiger. He was skating on thin ice with me.
I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Was that because he...
Guy won the lottery. Was the last chance at a big win. And you can confirm that this is the ticket in question. That's it. The Millionaire Radio Show starts at 1:30 p.m. and runs for 10 minutes.
Starts at 1:30 p.m. and runs for 10 minutes. We already had this conversation earlier, where they heavily implied it ended at 10:30. Because then they were like a whole half hour after the show ended. What the crap game? Can't even keep your own time straight?
That fixes the time you two met with some accuracy.
And the whole scene was acted out again 30 minutes later. Also that Mr. Kudo would see it.
I can still see the kid's face now. I ain't never gonna forget it.
Yes, I won $500,000. He got lucky, you know, real lucky. Was there anyone else in the restaurant at the time?
I don't remember.
There was no one there. I'd wear that ridiculous tiger shirt for a month. Mr. Armstrong, Maggie, and if I'm right, Viola Cadaverini were all there at the time.
So the victim had intended to repay you from his lottery winnings from the beginning. Seems that way to me. But you wouldn't normally expect to win the lottery, would you?
Ha! The undying belief that your next roll will be the end will end the worst losing streak you've ever had. That's what defines a true gambler.
He makes it sound so cool, but gambling is wrong, kids. Don't do it.
Don't be tempted, Nick. You haven't got the willpower for it.
All I know is the kid took a shot and he got lucky in the end.
If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over. The waitress, you mean?
The girl with the glasses in the defendant's chair, who else could I mean? She hadn't gotten in the way, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, done and over with.
Maybe I should push a little on this. Ask about what Maggie did, or how things would have been? What do you mean things would have been over and done with?
Are you there? Oh, there or what? I'm talking about the cash. I was there to get my $100,000 back, that's all. I'm a businessman. It's all coming together before the waitress got in the way. Now, as far as I can tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tigre had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said.
The tiger's motive, huh? That's to the 100,000. I didn't have no other reason to kill the guy. So, you remember the Viola thing? He owes her dad or whatever $1 million for the surgery because of the accident they got in. So you just intended to get back $100,000 Mr. Elg owed you, right?
I loaned the guy the cash, so that's my right.
Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, $100,000 wasn't enough to cover it, was it?
Huh?
About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter, in which a young woman, somehow, was injured more than the guy in the scooter. She was taken to the hospital, where she underwent surgery, probably by Dr. Hody, which is why it was $1 million.
Where did you get all this info?
These medical paper documents the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. Payment for these expenses was due in December of last year and was paid in full.
$1 million. A preposterous sum. Someone should sue those HMOs.
Judge, we can't call people that. That's not appropriate. Sorry.
But no one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up dead as a morgue.
I'm still kind of laughing about it. HMOs. We can't call people that, Judge. Okay. But Mr. Tigre had no choice but to pay. Because his very life depended on it.
Grah! Order, order, order! You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright.
Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini.
Did you say Cadaverini?
Bruto Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini.
Hooah!
Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire $1 million the $1 million Cadaverini demanded of you. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glen Elg's life to pay your debt.
Order, order, order! What do you say to that, witness? Grr,
It's a nice little fairy tale, right? But even if the witness did need $1 million, that doesn't tie him to Mr. Elg's murder. Mr. Elg owed him $100,000 and had no hope of repaying it anyway.
Yeah, that guy wasn't worth my spit.
I don't think so. In fact, the opposite is true.
The opposite.
Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business, but in this case, the very fact that Glen Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial.
What?
Do you know where you're going with this, Nick?
You've got to think outside the box, Maya.
Outside the box?
It's very straightforward. Then you don't have to think outside the box if it's very straightforward. What? Sorry, what? Mr. Tigre wasn't after $100,000 at all.
It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us? What exactly was Mr. Tigre after?
MC Hammer Bomber. Glen Elg was a programmer, a highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money.
Care to explain how skill can be used as collateral to secure a loan trade?
It is all the time, actually. He had the skill to create a computer virus, and so he did. The virus known as MC Bomber. People use that all the time. They're like, what's your income? Which is generally tied with some sort of skill that they assume you can continue repeating over multiple jobs for a long period of time because you have the skill. Essentially. I think people probably don't view it that way, but yeah.
The computer virus. What does one of those do?
A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the insides of a computer.
A computer. What does one of those do?
I guess the beard isn't the only part of his honor that is from the Stone Age. I'll explain to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this isn't the important point. The virus, like MC Bomber, would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Mr. Tigre, you couldn't have cared less about the $100,000, isn't that right? All you cared about was the one thing, the virus.
Grah! Grah!
I think he does a crazy freak out, if I remember. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tigre's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glen Elg had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tigre knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tigre would prefer to say never happened, but he can't, and neither can I.
The lottery win.
Exactly! At the 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tigre with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least, no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means. That's so interesting. It's like, he wanted to use that guy's debt to get the MC Bomber from him and get something that was worth way more. But since he actually did get the money to pay him back, he was like, oh crap, and then just killed him.
That's crazy.
He murdered Glen Elg, and then made his next move, to frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigre posed as Glen Elg, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudo.
Like I said, Tried, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef would have kept in the dark about it.
But Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money too. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigre's plans.
Order, order! Silence, or I will clear the courtroom. You's put on a good show, Spiky.
Also, that's my hairdo. Give it back.
If you just want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you just gotta be careful. You saying I dressed up like that kid, created a witness, and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt. I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that.
Also, why is his skin red? I agree.
You do.
Despite your appearance, you're very careful. That's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Miss Bird had no way out.
What? Another one, Mr. Wright.
Another one.
Interesting. Why don't you fill us all in, Tried? What was this trick you say Mr. Tigre performed to frame the accused?
He dressed up as me, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney.
What on earth is that? What an insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish imitation.
Dang it, Judge, you freaking... Consider yourself insulted, Your Honor. Mr. Tigre, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago, in this very court, you posed as me. I know, he's the self-burn. There's a meme for when you like, oh, it's JonTron, it's JonTron. There's a JonTron meme for that.
What? That's...
the truth.
But the witness looks nothing like you, Mr. Wright. Although... now that I think about it, it was you, wasn't it? No doubt it was you, standing in here, this very courtroom a mere month ago. The Phoenix Wright, who put up the most disreputable, shabby defense I had ever seen. Grr! Grr!
Can you prove that, Gramps? Oh, now the judge is presenting evidence. Here we go.
Prove that the attorney who represented the accused here a month ago was this man? Are you prepared to take the stand and testify that that was him?
Gulp.
Hey! Forget about it, yeah? I wouldn't do something like that, not me. You made a mistake, right? It was someone else, huh?
Have you no pride, sir?
This isn't a matter of pride. In case you didn't know, Tried, here in court, we deal with people's lives.
Nerg!
Mr. Godot is right.
Your Honor?
Speaking for myself, I am absolutely convinced. The attorney in question was the witness standing before me now. However, I preside over this court as the judge, with a vested power to hand down a verdict. Someone in my position cannot be swayed by a memory without evidence to support it.
No!
If the defense has no further evidence, the court will now excuse the witness.
Judge, why? This is stupid.
The circumstances surrounding Mr. Tigre are dubious for sure, but not conclusive.
But we've come so far, and even the judge agrees with us that it was a fake you. That was him right there.
You say he impersonated Glen Elk, you say he impersonated you. But none of that adds up to a murder charge. You don't have a shred of evidence that the witness poisoned the victim's coffee.
Nagar!
Ha! Sucks to be you, right? Don't mess with the tiger, or you gonna get mauled, you just got that?
All we managed to do here was chase him around a bit. But I was so close to getting him to admit his own guilt.
Ha! Looks like I won't be needing a refill.
I just had one more piece of evidence. One more piece of evidence, and maybe I could get Maggie off the hook.
The witness's cross-examination is over. You are free to go, Mr. Tigre.
You wanna saw?
Wait! Yeah! Gumshoe gets his moment. Alright, we're gonna save this in a separate... separate thingy. 6, I guess? I don't know. Gumshoe to the rescue. Alright. Wait!
Detective.
Detective Gumshoe! Sorry it took so long, pal. I staked everything on this. My badge, the works. So here it is. My heart's counting on this too.
What is it, detective?
Isn't it obvious, pal? It's the final decisive piece of evidence.
What?
Glad Gumshoe finally got his moment. January 8th, 2:48 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Sorry it took so long, pal, but I finally got the results from the lab. The results? About the prince, pal, from this medicine bottle.
Oh, so, do you know who the prince belonged to now?
Do you think I'm some kind of hack detective? Of course I know.
So, tell us. They're the tigers, right? I knew it.
You bet. Clear as crystal all over the bottle. They're Furio Tigre's paw prints, all right.
That's great. We've got him now, Nick. What's wrong with you? You've hardly said a word since Detective Gumshoe got here. He's laid everything on the line for us, Nick.
I know. Look, I'm sorry. This is kind of hard to say, but it really doesn't make any difference whose prints are on that bottle now. Huh? What? Why not? What we need to produce at this stage in the trial is irrefutable evidence that the tiger put poison in Glen Oak's coffee. He's already admitted that he met the victim. The fact that his prints are on this bottle, that really doesn't make any difference now. I knew it. Wait, no matter how hard I try, I'm never of any use.
Hey, don't be so hard on yourself.
This was our last chance to help Maggie. And I've been working on some useless piece of evidence the whole time. It's alright. I'm a real loser. It's not breaking news to me, pal.
Detective!
Oh.
Detective! Detective! Gumshoe! Mickey! You've been working on something? For me?
Sorry I let you down, Maggie. I knew you didn't do it. And I'm a detective. We're supposed to be able to prove stuff like that. I'm really sorry. I'll get out of your hair now.
Detective Gumshoe, wait!
He's gone.
Isn't there anything we can do now, Nick?
I wish there was. Gumshoe worked so hard to get this evidence. If only there was some way I could use it. Small bottle put into pocket. He was so happy. And then it was like, no.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor.
I granted you a recess so you could prepare this decisive evidence you discovered.
Yes.
Don't keep us all in suspense, Trite. Show us. Naturally. We can assume it's evidence that will actually stand up in court, can't we?
Think, Phoenix. Don't let Gumshoe's hard work go to waste.
How much more of my time are you gonna waste? I ain't been to no court before, but you lawyers sure know how to blow things out of proportion. No doubt, given the nature of the evidence, it will speak for itself. Nevertheless, you will talk us through it, Mr. Wright.
You are an expert emoter. I will give you that. Well, I know I can't prove anything new with this evidence. I'm really backed into a corner here. But maybe if he thinks he's got me beat, he'll let his guard down for a bit.
Don't keep us waiting any longer, Mr. Wright. Present this final, decisive piece of evidence to the court.
Small bottle. This is the defense's final piece of evidence.
Isn't that the victim's?
Your Honor, naturally the court is already aware of the contents of this bottle. However, interesting new information has come to light. We have clearly identified some fingerprints on it. Fingerprints belonging to you, Mr. Tigre.
What? But, Mr. Wright, what conclusion are you hoping to draw from this new information?
Everyone in here knows that what this bottle contains, except one man. One person in this courtroom should be theoretically in the dark.
My prints are on that pansy-looking bottle? Is that what you saying? Well, what the hell's in it anyway?
A phony trial, a phony lawyer, and phony clues. Everything about this case has been phony. Seems like the perfect excuse for some phony evidence. Mr. Tigre, this is the decisive piece of evidence that will prove your guilt. Why? Because it contains potassium cyanide. This bottle contains potassium cyanide.
Potassium cyanide?
The poison used to murder Mr. Elg, Your Honor. The victim's killer used this very bottle. And on this bottle, Mr. Tigre, we found your fingerprints. Well, how do you explain that?
Ha 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 ha! You make a good clown, you know that?
What?
You ain't never gonna get this to stick. You's just making me laugh now. You think your chief bluff like that's gonna fool the tiger?
A bluff?
I can see straight through you, Phoenix, right? That ain't the bottle with the cyanide in it.
No, this is the bottle we found traces of the poison in.
Don't mess with the tiger. You're gonna get ripped to shreds. The cyanide bottle was brown and it's made of glass. It's that cheap piece of trash. That don't look nothing like it.
Got him. At last.
What? Why's everyone got quiet? I said that bottle.
Is this the bottle you're referring to?
Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle with the cyanide was in. But you ain't gonna find my prints on that bottle. Don't let that cozy looking suit fool you people. That lawyer's just playing games. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell that guy where to go.
You still haven't figured it out? Don't you realize what you just said?
What I said? What did I just say?
You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. If you really had nothing to do with the murder, you shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of bottle the potassium cyanide was in.
Grr.
But just now, you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison.
You still know what you's messing with. Who are you messing with? I'm the tiger. I control millions of dollars on the black market. You think I'm gonna let some jumped up suit get the better of me?
Sure, the last piece of evidence was phony. A big, fat phony piece of evidence, if I might add. But that's just what you deserve. The phony trial with a phony lawyer was all played out by you, the biggest phony of them all.
Grrr. Grrr. What's going on?
It looks like a blackout. Well done, right? I saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you. Savor it while you watch the police restrain your prey.
Mr. Wright, you caught the tiger by his toe, but if this one hollers, he won't be let go. I've been saving that the whole time. Oh, how did you like it? Now then, how are things going with Mr. Tigre, Mr. Godot?
He is being arrested on suspicion of murder of Glen Elk, Your Honor.
Fortunately for us, we managed to rectify a very grave error. Miss Bird was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defense attorney.
Yes, she was.
And in the absence of a genuine evidence. But the tiger made one mistake.
Indeed. He very nearly got away with everything too, if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Superior Tigre is a truly frightening criminal.
Ha! The truly frightening one is that defense attorney over there.
Godot?
Well, I am now in a position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Bird, not guilty. This confetti comes down when my food gets here too, by the way. That is all. This court is adjourned.
Mr. Wright, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir. Congratulations, Miggy. I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago, but now I feel like I can forgive him.
Hey, that wasn't me, Maggie. That was the tiger.
Look, Nick, in the doorway.
Detective Gumshoe. Oh, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around, pal. Wait.
Detective Gumshoe.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Maggie.
Thanks.
I knew you were innocent all along.
Why didn't you say that in your testimony then?
Oh, well, I was. Well, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around. Wait up, detective. He just ran off.
Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got the medication bottle. That wasn't even of any use. But, it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles.
Poor guy. Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him.
Can't you put a good word in for him, Nick?
Yeah, Maya's right. I should help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it. Maggie, Detective Gumshoe's really been worried about you through all of this.
I wanted to believe that, sir. But on the first day of the trial, he practically gave the judge a free pass to lock me up.
He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He has to report the facts.
He doubted me, that's why. I thought I might have done it.
I gotta prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom. The crappy Très Bien meal! No, the weenies. Here you are, a present to celebrate your freedom.
That's...
A present from Detective Gumshoe, made with a ton of love.
He said you lost weight and he was worried about you. Detective Gumshoe. I actually really like weenies, you know? Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty hungry myself, you know.
Yeah, the trial dragged on a bit today, didn't it?
Is it okay if I eat this now? So, how was it, Maggie? It's really good.
So the case of the phony versus the genuine comes to an end. We just wanted to say the word phony one more time. The false allegations surrounding Maggie have all been cleared up. And who knows? Maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to start. Yeah, she becomes like a... What's it called? One of those people who works at like the front desk to let people into their apartments or something? It's in a drinking game where one of us takes a shot of water every time phony is mentioned. I'd have died. Brand new episode has been added. Episode 4, Turnabout Beginnings. No, not a landlord. She, like, it's like a security person or whatever. I'm gonna open the window again because it got hot in here. I just didn't want the neighbors to hear me screaming in Tigre's voice because I had to do his voice really loud. Okay, so we can still do this for like another hour. We can get like well into this case. Oh, I love you too. I actually don't remember the case that well. I remember some details about it. The girl. Let her go.
Shut up! Come closer, and I kill her!
Sorry, but you're not going to get the chance. I'm reading through the file of an old court case. It was the first case of my longtime mentor, Mia Fey. Name Terry Falls. Terry Falls! Kidnapping, murder, sentence, death penalty. After escaping, Falls met with and then murdered Sergeant Valerie Hawthorne. He captured on Eagle Mountain about 8 hours after his escape. Her very first client was the death row inmate who had recently broke out of prison. I like this remix too. It was a whole year before Mia and I ever met. Also, look where Nick is. Six years earlier, Mia Fey, first trial. I don't remember that exactly. It looked like he was sitting in like a hospital bed with an IV bag, but it was hard to tell.
I'm so nervous. I feel like I'm going to die. I never should have accepted this case. Good morning. Don't be so jumpy, Mia.
I didn't do nothing! I swear I didn't kill nobody!
Terry Falls, my first client. Sentenced to death 5 years ago and now a prison escapee. Just relax, Mia. Make small talk and try to relax him. Why'd you escape anyway?
Ooga!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I didn't do nothing. I didn't kill nobody. I never lie. I didn't escape from nowhere.
But Mr. Falls, the police just recaptured you 2 days ago.
Sorry, I told a little lie.
Because anyone would want to if incarcerated?
Oh boy.
But anyway, I didn't do it. I didn't kill nobody.
Sorry for asking, but you're on death row, right?
Ooga!
Yeah, I'm really, really sorry.
They sentenced me to die 5 years ago, but I was tricked, I tell you. That woman, she lied in her testimony. That's why I got the death penalty. I swear it, I didn't kill her. I'd never do that.
2 days ago, he escaped from the police wagon when it crashed.
We had a distinct lack of Mia in the last case, now we have another Mia case. About 8 hours later, the policewoman was murdered before the police could recapture him. Police believe that Terry Falls did it. After you escaped, did you meet a policewoman?
Yeah, I did. She's the reason I escaped.
That much is true. He did meet with the victim.
But it didn't kill her. She was alive when I left. She was alive, it's true.
I can't trust him, right? I mean, I should.
Huh.
You're not going to figure out the truth just by staring at the guy.
Why are you here?
I came to see how our little kitten was getting alone in the big scary lion's den. I thought you might like someone to play with.
Where's Mr. Grossberg?
That old man is probably still in bed. I bet he's clutching an empty bottle and mumbling in his sleep. Aren't I good enough? After all, it's me, Diego Armando.
Nah, I didn't say. So Diego Armando, the finest attorney at Grossberg Law Offices, is here for me?
No. You've got it all wrong. Today, you're the finest. After all, it took an amazing amount of guts to take this case. Imagine, an escaped death row convict for a first client.
Yeah, thanks. I sure wish I could get out of it, though.
Relax. I just heard some good news.
What if I cosplayed as that guy? That would be sweet. I don't know where you get that vest, though. Gotta get 2 earrings, and I grow this out. Oh, I already did. Oh, yes, I'm halfway there.
And then I just have to shave this part and try to make it stop kind of around here. And I go around talking like this and say, my name is Diego. People say, you cannot do that, this is 2020.
Anyway.
Relax, I just heard some good news. The prosecutor for today is fresh out of his diapers as well.
Really?
However, unlike a certain somebody who I won't mention, he's earned a reputation as a genius since beginning his law career.
Genius.
Well, it's about time to head in, kitten. Sharpen those claws of yours, it's go time.
A solitary confinement cell for the condemned must be the world's loneliest place. And that's what my client ran away from. Every other lawyer gave up on him, but not me. When I saw those overflowing eyes and heard that simple, childlike voice. Oh boy, childlike voice, huh? Mia Fey sounds like My Valentine. Yeah, I'm probably doing a little bit too hard on the ha and I kind of sound because I don't think I make her have that thick of a. Anyway, I just had the feeling that he was telling the truth. February 16th. Damn. Court is now in session for the trial of Terry Falls. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor.
Wasn't there a time when young Edgeworth had this dialogue and I made him sound the same, but Phoenix sounded like a kid or something? I don't know, anyway. I understand the lawyers for both sides are newcomers. Yes, Your Honor. I'm Mia Fey.
Miles Edgeworth, Your Honor. Slightly younger than you remember me, and with my old suit on. You might see it on my wall later in my sweet office. And in the investigations game, it's there too.
He does look younger.
So, you're the new prosecutor everyone's talking about, eh? You see, you joined the prosecutor's office at quite an early age.
In 20, Your Honor.
I guess our little kitten hasn't earned herself much of a reputation yet, huh?
Wow, look at him from the side. I feel like they animated him even better from the side or something. They did some better shading or something. Look at that hair. My gosh. Okay. Baby Edgeworth. Come on, Mia. You can't lose. Not to someone younger than you.
Young people running a trial. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. Now then, the defendant in this case is certainly a felon on death row. 2 days ago, he escaped from a police wagon, is that correct? Precisely. But the defendant is not on trial for escaping prison. On the day that the defendant escaped, a policewoman was murdered.
So we're here to determine if Mr. Falls was responsible for her death. I like how there's something about this particular case with this cast of characters. Godot's on the good guy's side. I'm playing as Mia. Phoenix isn't even like in the story, but Edgeworth is there, and the judge is a Canadian. It's something about this that just makes me happy. I don't know why.
You got it, kitten. Well then, Mr. Edgeworth, let's hear your opening statement. Yes, Your Honor. It was 5 years ago. The defendant, Terry Falls, he was sentenced to death in this very courtroom. His crimes were kidnapping, extortion, and murder. The girl he threw off the bridge was only 14 years old. A truly horrible crime. I remember it well. There was no decisive evidence, so the trial was long and protracted. Correct. But in the end, what finally decided the case was a certain witness's testimony.
Look how young he looks. I think his eyes are shiny or something.
This is back when my eyes were shinier. I had them buffed that day just for that court trial. It was my first appearance.
A witness's testimony.
The testimony of Detective Valerie Hawthorne, the person who confronted this criminal. She arrested Mr. Falls at the scene and later testified against him. She said she witnessed Mr. Falls throw his young victim into the river.
He puffed his eyes.
For those who are not aware, Eagle River is well known for its powerful current. Most bodies that fall in the river are never recovered.
So Miss Hawthorne's testimony was the one that put him away.
The policewoman you mentioned, that wouldn't be exactly the victim. The same woman that was killed 2 days ago. Police Sergeant Valerie Hawthorne.
Aha, and I see. The man who was sentenced to death based on her testimony escaped 2 days ago.
I think his jawline isn't as strong too. Maybe his face is longer when he's older with the stronger jawline. Yeah, the young Miles. Well, in like the later, in game like 6, I think, he and Phoenix actually look. I don't actually know how old they are, but they look like they're in their 40s or something.
Only one thing on his mind: to take revenge against the woman who convicted him. Ah, the truth is becoming clear to me now. Huh?
Yes.
Only the oldest you see him is 35, I believe. It's quite obvious that the defendant is guilty. Wait a minute, that's not right. At least hear the case before you decide the outcome, Your Honor.
Watch yourself, Miss Faye. I'm not sure I care for your word choice or your tone of voice. Here in Canada, we're really polite, eh? Young people in court these days simply don't know how to respect their elders.
Why you? You're even younger than me, you hypocrite.
Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, please call your first witness. And I call the detective who was in charge of the initial investigation of this case. Witness, state your name and occupation.
Gumshoe, Dick Gumshoe. I'm the homicide detective in charge of the case, sure.
So, her bangs before you cut me off with something funny again. Felix Singer too. It's her Canadian. Yeah, her bangs are like hanging down or whatever. Gumshoe! Oh, he's not in my court thing. Dubbed a genius as soon as he started prosecutor. Why does he have a black coat on?
Diego Armando.
Hotshot lawyer. My senior and rival at the office. A bit smug. So he's 27. And then later it's like question mark when we see him. But this is a year before they met Phoenix. And then it was a couple years before he became a lawyer. So Diego's around 30? Is that right? Maybe I'm off. Valerie Hawthorne, age 23. Barry Falls.
Gumshoe, Dick Gumshoe. I finally got promoted to detective division half a year ago. I don't believe anyone asked you about that.
32.
Hey, ma'am, you got any idea how much work it takes? What is it? You're really gorgeous. Excuse me? No, seriously, my heart is aching for you.
Detective, pull yourself together and try to be professional. Otherwise, I'll write you up on contempt so quick that something other than your heart will ache.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Now, Detective, tell us about the incident.
Yes, sir, right away. The victim was Sergeant Valerie Hawthorne, a veteran of the police force.
Dick should be 25 years. Isn't that? Oh, now he's in the court record. 26. Contact detective in case of the initial investigation. Still new to his position.
Still got that patch on my face. Pretty sure the doctor said I can take it off in a couple of weeks, though. She was stabbed in the back with a knife and died from excessive blood loss.
That much is already stated in the autopsy report. The court would like to hear more details about the incident itself.
Yes, sir, I gotcha. Okay, let's take a look at this aerial map of the area here. This is a sketch of Dusky Bridge, an old suspension bridge. And the river that runs under it is Eagle River. The victim and the defendant met here, on top of the bridge. After stabbing her in the back, the killer carried the victim back to his car. He was recaptured at the police checkpoint as he was trying to make a getaway, sir.
I guess he hadn't turned 32 yet. He was 30 in the first game, and it's been 2 years. Because now Maya's 19 at 17. Okay. I'm kind of losing track of who's what, but anyway.
Now I see.
Dusky Bridge map added to the court record.
Was the victim's blood found on the bridge?
The victim, Sergeant Valerie Hawthorne, was wearing a thick coat, sir. Unfortunately, no traces of blood were found on the bridge.
Mr. Edgeworth, I warn you that I absolutely despise conjecture. If there was no blood on the bridge, then you have no proof that they were even met there. Your Honor? And if you would listen to the testimony we have prepared, I'm sure you'll be convinced. The two of them most certainly did meet on the bridge that day. Wait, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm not sure I like you wagging your finger at me as though I was some hoser. Detective, proceed with your testimony.
Oh, yes, sir. Here we go, Mia. Hang on.
Okay now, listen carefully, kitten. One little mistake and this guy will drink you for morning tea. Trust me, and get ready.
Hoser, watch your language, Canadian.
On the day of the incident.
Oh, yeah, I already read this. On the day of the incident, and... Oh, no, I didn't already read this. This is his testimony. Whoops, okay.
On the day of the incident, an unknown person phoned the sergeant and asked to meet. Sergeant Hawthorne went to a Dusky Bridge at the designated time and met with Mr. Falls.
And that's where she was brutally murdered, sir.
The criminal stuffed her body into a car trunk and tried to make a getaway. Mr. Falls was arrested at a police checkpoint we set up at the base of the mountain.
Well, you certainly have established the importance of the bridge. Naturally. Now, would the defense please hurry up and proceed with the cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Cross-examination coming right up.
Hey, settle down there, kitten. If you keep trembling like that, you're gonna make me spill my coffee.
I'm not trembling. It's just cold in here.
Maybe you should wear some real clothes, maybe. That might help. The courtroom can be a cold battlefield, alright, especially for a beginner.
I don't need you to worry about me. I mean, the defendant, the witness, everyone's a beginner in here.
Ha! You got me there. Maybe you should keep your claws out and show them what you got, kitten.
This is a side note, something I've noticed from the Ace Attorney series, and I always wonder about. The defense always has, not always, but very, very often has somebody there with them, whether it's Grossberg or Diego Armando or Mia or Maya, But why does the prosecution literally never have somebody on their side? I've always wondered that. Why isn't Gumshoe standing over there talking to the, occasionally throwing dialogue? I don't know. I just don't get it. Something I always wondered about. I guess they're all geniuses on the prosecution or whatever. Maybe that's why. But it bugs me. I'm like, they could do that. There would be no issue with that. Okay, Mia. Stay calm. Just remember those court procedure videos you stayed up all night watching last night. Summary of the incident. So let's see. Oh, I just have to press a bunch. Cool. That's usually like my favorite thing to do. On the day of the incident, an unknown person phoned up with the sergeant and asked to meet. This is unknown person. You must have no idea who it might. You have no idea who it might be, right?
Sorry, but I'm afraid I do.
What?
The one who called Sergeant Hawthorne was the defendant, Terry Falls. Whoa, what? The defendant called her. Sergeant Hawthorne was a very thorough person, so she left a note about her call to Mr. Falls.
A note?
Yeah, a top secret memo that she left in her desk. The top secret memo that she left in her desk.
Victim's note added to the court record. Confidential police materials written by the victim.
According to this note, it seems that the one who called her into the bridge was indeed the defendant, Terry Falls.
Ah, whose bright idea was it to keep that note from me?
Ha! Looks like the judge is even more sure of his verdict now. Listen up. Never ask a question if you don't already know the answer.
That's actually like a real thing that lawyers often say. Do not ask a question unless you know what the answer is. Because oftentimes the person you're asking will come up with something that doesn't help or screws you over. I've heard that from multiple lawyers. Like, don't do that. Isn't that detective's fault? It's that detective's fault. He's the one that said unknown person.
Hey now, don't make that face at me.
I just said it that way because the prosecution told me to. Prosecutor told me to. Was that a trap? With that cute face, I didn't expect him to be so sneaky. I'm as sneaky as I want to be. Sergeant Hawthorne went to the Dusky Bridge at the designated time and met with Mr. Falls. Everything's better with Edgeworth in it, I feel like. I got Edgeworth and Godot here. I mean, Diego Armando, totally not Godot. A bridge up in the mountains, but why meet there?
Because it's a very important place for the defendant, that's why.
And also Gumshoe's here. What do you mean by that? If you remember 5 years ago, the defendant kidnapped a young girl. He was chased onto a bridge, and it was there that he killed his hostage. And then the place where all this occurred, of course, Dusky Bridge.
The very place where Sergeant Hawthorne arrested and handcuffed Mr. Falls.
Ha! Returning to the scene of the crime. How nostalgic.
And that's where she was brutally murdered, sir. Was the body of the victim discovered right away?
Yeah, we were really on the ball. We found the criminal within 1 hour of the murder. It was great. We even got to say, "Don't move, we got you surrounded."
Wait a second. Isn't there something weird about that?
The location was a suspension bridge up in the mountains. So, how did they find out about the crime so quickly?
Sergeant Hawthorne must have mentioned the phone call to someone else, right?
Ha! If that's what happened, then she wouldn't have been killed.
She never mentioned the police. She never mentioned the phone call from Mr. Falls, but she left a note on the desk about it.
If only I'd noticed it earlier. Maybe she'd still be alive.
I wonder why she didn't mention the phone call to anyone. The criminal stuffed her body into the trunk of his car and tried to make a getaway. Mr. Falls had a car then.
Well, that bridge is way up in the mountains, ma'am. The defendant and the victim both went up there by car. I mean, how else, right?
What? You mean the defendant drove his own car?
No, of course not. It was stolen. He stole it from a young couple that had been waiting at a red light. Car thieves. Not sure how I feel about car thieves. Is this guy sure how he feels about anything? This is a photo of the stolen car's trunk. Naturally, that's the body of Valerie Hawthorne in there. Oh, that doesn't look too comfortable.
Photo of the trunk of Fall's car. The victim. She was stabbed in the back, correct?
Yeah.
Ha! For some reason, men always seem to get stabbed in the back.
We're talking about a woman here.
You can't tell from this photo, but the knife was stuck in her back, nice and firm.
Condition of the body when it was discovered is a very important information. Detective, is there anything strange and noteworthy about the trunk of the car? He gave us this photo. Of her in the car. That's pretty much the only thing important that you missed on the... Mr. Falls is arrested. That certainly is some impressive police work.
Well, no, actually, it was way too close for comfort. We set up that checkpoint just after 5 p.m. We figured that Mr. Falls might try to run.
What do you mean it was too close for comfort?
The two of them arranged to meet at 4:30. And it takes approximately 30 minutes to go from there, from the bridge to the checkpoint.
That was kind of close. Any later, Mr. Falls could have slipped right by.
Listen up, kitten. There's a big trap waiting for you in that testimony.
A trap?
Walk into it carelessly and it'll leave more than just a flesh wound. Fun, huh?
No, it's not.
Well, if you want to have any chance at all, you'd better get some other information. And if you're going to get caught in a trap, it's best to get caught early. You can always look for contradictions afterwards.
The ever famous contradictions. I sure hope I can find some of those. Monty Python reference? I missed it if there was one. Okay. So, I think that's it. We only have a couple of things here. Falls, 4:30 p.m. That bridge. Wear the white scarf for identification. Talk to Dahlia. Tell her this time the whole truth must come out. Dahlia. She's not wearing a scarf. Wetness. Oh, the flesh wound thing.
What is it? Do you have something to say, Miss Fay?
I'm sorry. I totally forgot what I was going to say. This is the first time I've ever had to actually address someone like that.
Yeah, you should have practiced before coming to court. Honestly, Miss Fay, I'm not sure I like this.
Say there, little kitten, what a piece of my coffee candy?
Candy.
Well, you're still too young to be drinking real coffee.
Yeah, come on, Mia. Shake it off. You're a lawyer. Also, I don't have my thing here, so I can't see how old I am, but I'm at least in my 20s. So, what are you talking about? Coffee candy. I'm gonna pinch his butt cheek. Okay, anyway. I know you said you're kidding, but what? Detective.
Yes, ma'am.
This photo. You said that there was nothing peculiar about it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I said. Well then.
Oh, sorry. Well then, I suggest you take another look at the note written by the victim.
The note?
Very clearly says, wear white scarf for identification. Caller must have forgotten what the victim looked like, thus, this special request.
I
have one very simple question for you, detective. Where is the white scarf? I can't seem to find it in this photo.
Well, to be honest, we didn't find it in the trunk, ma'am.
And you stopped there? You should have looked for it. Thinking of face cheeks, but thought that'd be funnier, yeah. The caller told her to identify herself, so I'd expect she did just that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do you have to say about this?
I see the defense is a little lacking. The scarf you are searching for so desperately?
Is it this one, perchance?
That's blue. Ah. Where'd you find that, sir?
On Dusky Bridge. I was there first and decided to conduct my own investigation and not tell anybody about it so I could bring it up just now.
Why didn't you tell me?
I made a decision to keep all pieces of evidence in my personal satchel. And it's the safest place I know.
That hotshot sure has flair for the dramatic.
It's not exactly white, as the caller requested, but as you can see, it's close enough for what it was intended for.
It looks like it spent some time in the mud.
Not surprising, it was drizzling on the mountain that day.
Prosecutor Edgeworth. He was intentionally hiding that scarf the whole time.
Which is always weird to me that you can just hide evidence that's, like, important. And this evidence would be very bad for my case, so I'll just not present it. Which I guess is kind of like what the Von Karma thing was all about, right? Early on. So, and this is young Edgeworth, so he's straight up Von Karma Edgeworth. He's not current Edgeworth of the Prosecutor Edgeworth Chooses Death variety, where he's turned a new leaf and all that, so. Makes sense. Alright. Court will now accept the scarf into evidence. Scarf added to the court record. Now, if the attorney for the defense has finished embarrassing herself, I'd like to move on with the testimony. That is all right with you, isn't it, Miss Fay?
Boy, would I like to wrap this scarf around his smarmy little neck.
Very good. Now, if we're done with this mud-covered scarf business, the prosecution moves to establish conclusivity, and with hard evidence that Miss Hawthorne and Mr. Falls did indeed meet on the bridge that day. Furthermore, we will show exactly what occurred there.
That sounds quite promising. I can't wait to hear all about it. All about it.
Dang it. Ah, everything is moving at his whim.
Don't forget, kitten, there's a reason why everyone considers this kid a genius.
A genius, huh?
Events on Dusky Bridge.
Actually, there's an eyewitness who was there when the incident took place. This photo was accidentally taken by the witness. It shows the Vic wearing the scarf, so... It was drizzling that day, unfortunately. It's a little hard to see what's going on. Anyway, the criminal shoved the victim down from behind and stabbed her in the back.
But she was facing him.
It must have been when the scarf fell off.
Looking at this photo, you really get the sense that the bridge is very high up.
And it's about 40-foot drop from the bridge to Eagle River down below.
Mr. Edgeworth, who took this photo anyway?
And let's just say that it was a well-intentioned third party.
Ah, a potential witness. So why isn't that person in the courtroom?
Well, they said they absolutely did not want to testify.
And this person in question is very delicate, Your Honor. Besides, as long as we have this photo, we see no reason to compel them to testify.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. But that.
Well, we just learned that some delicate witness took this picture. Dahlia. Must be who they're describing, and they won't testify. And Edgeworth insulted Mia a bit. You didn't really miss a whole lot. When you go, I tend to like drink water and take a short break, so like a minute break or something. Yeah. So as you can see, Terry Falls had both the motive and the opportunity. And I think it's quite clear at this point what happened on that bridge.
Ah, the truth is becoming clear to me now.
Huh? Huh?
Yes, it's quite obvious. He's clearly guilty.
Not again. That's not fair. I haven't even done my cross-examination yet. What do you mean,
Events on Dusky Bridge.
Actually, there was an eyewitness who was there when the incident took place.
Oh yeah, Gumshoe gave his testimony. There was an eyewitness who was there when it took place. This photo was accidentally taken by the witness. Shows the Vic wearing the scarf. It was drizzling that day. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to see what's going on. Actually, the criminal shoved the victim down from behind and stabbed her in the back. That must have been when the scarf fell off. So that's what Gumshoe testified. Now we're gonna press through it. So actually, there's an eyewitness who was there when the incident took place. Who's this eyewitness?
She's a college student.
A female college student.
That's right.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. She's female and a college student, ma'am. She doesn't do well in front of other people, so I came to testify for her.
Maybe so, but as the attorney for the defense, I have the right to cross-examine her. For the time being, we're not relying on that witness's statements. That is all. What is that supposed to mean? The prosecution has other more decisive evidence. Our case doesn't rest on the vague testimony of a female college student.
Female college student, eh? It means she's female and college student, so?
And if you absolutely must hear her testimony, you'll have to give us a good reason why. She was an eyewitness to a murder? Saying.
Please tell us about the more decisive evidence in question.
This photo is accidentally taken by the witness. It shows the Vic wearing the scarf, sir. The victim was wearing a scarf in that photo, alright. So about the witness who took this photo. What was this person doing all the way up in the mountains?
She was taking photos of wildflowers, apparently.
And there are many unusual types of flora on that mountain, Miss Faye. People in the area say it's because of the spirits that live there.
Spirits? No, that you mention it. This photo. It's cloudy fog-like thing. Is it a ghost? I don't believe it. No, Your Honor, no. I don't think it's a ghost.
It was drizzling that day. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to see what's going on. Drizzling, huh?
That's why. It was a wind cloud, light wind, coming down. The whole place was dreary. But not as dreary as the mood that's in this courtroom right now. Looks like a cold front just moved in.
In any case, the point is that the area was quite damp. There was even some fog.
I even swept a little and fell while I was on the bridge. It was really something.
Anyway, the criminal shoved the victim down from behind and stabbed her in the back. There's a cold front moving in over my heart.
Gumshoe listened to Ryan K.
Okay, anyway. Oh, I got messages. Oh, nice messages. Is that part of the witness's testimony as well?
Of course it is. He pushed the victim hard in the back and she fell down right on her stomach.
Huh. I remember that happening once myself. It was really brutal.
Look, they even spelled it brutal like brutal because they want you to do his accent.
It was really brutal.
Are you talking about seeing someone get pushed, or were you the one getting pushed? Or does it mean that you pushed someone down like that once? His mind-boggling tales and the way he said brutal. I wonder if he's Canadian. See, if you don't press everything, you miss stuff like this where they actually say things like he being Canadian. I don't know, you get little pieces of information from pressing even if you don't have to. I always like pressing stuff.
Ha! Save your nasty look for the right person.
Ha!
Take a look. Poor baby. The court record seems to have wet itself.
Hey, watch where you spill your coffee. Court record, huh? Oh, he was saying the court record wet itself because there's a contradiction right there. I'll press his last statement anyway. That must have been when the scarf fell off. So in other words, there was a struggle between the criminal and the victim, huh?
That's what the witness said. Well, it looks like she didn't remember about the scarf. But from what she said, it sounded like a pretty violent fight, ma'am.
The area was wet with rain. The bridge was probably wet too, which would explain why the scarf was all covered in mud, but there's something about this testimony that's still bothering me.
Talk about the surprise. I had no idea there was a photo.
So what do I do?
You really still believe him? Mr. Crybaby, I mean.
Of course I do.
So the little kitten believes in fairy tales, huh? In that case, the answer is obvious. What you believe, if what you believe is the truth, then that means that somewhere hidden in that testimony is a contradiction.
Oh yeah, of course. I made that announcement because I'm the leader.
One huge contradiction waiting to be discovered. That's your chance.
He is a better character when he doesn't speak in constant riddles, I'm just saying. Constant weird metaphors. He's actually just talking like a person. Anyway, the criminal was... And he's not like with this coffee constantly, he's just holding a cup. Okay, anyway. The criminal showed the victim down from behind and stabbed her in the back. Present the crime photo. Wait. Is this right? I think this is right. What? Present the crime photo. Why is this a contradiction? So at the time of the crime, there was a light drizzle coming down, correct?
Yeah, and fog too. Just a generally soggy atmosphere.
Oh, because she's not wet? It's not right. It's Victoria. Why does that sound familiar? Well, I have evidence that doesn't go with that soggy atmosphere.
This is a photo of the victim's body that was found in the car trunk.
Considering the conditions at the scene of the crime, something isn't right. Not right, it's Victoria. You said, is that right? Oh, okay. Something about that sounds familiar. I don't know why though.
Well, by all means, please enlighten us as to what isn't right. What is it about this photo?
Okay, I guess I don't get to keep reading it. What is it about this photo that's not right? She's not wet? Naturally, the answer is right here.
The victim's coat? As far as I can see, there's nothing strange about it.
That's exactly what's strange. Recall the testimony. What were the conditions on the bridge that day? It was drizzling and foggy. Dusky bridge was all wet. If the victim really had fallen down on her stomach on top of the bridge, then the front of her coat should have been covered in mud. But red isn't here. That is Victoria in the car? Oh. Yes. Sorry, I'm just like, somehow I'm not getting that, but I got what you're saying. A boot. What was I gonna say? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. After cleaning the deck off and then doing that whole thing with putting stuff back, finishing the deck, I can tell you that wood can be very dirty, even if it doesn't look like it. You can get a lot of mud off of wood. Front of her coat should have been covered in mud. Ugh! That's exactly right. The other day I fell on a muddy street and my gorgeous playoff beard was befouled. The gorgeous playoff beard. And I do admit that the crime scene was quite wet that day. However, that doesn't mean that the top of the bridge itself was muddy. If your honor had fallen in the shower instead of on a muddy street, your glorious hockey beard pride of the legal league would be wet but not muddy.
Fortunately, I have yet to test that, but still, your point is well taken.
Can you prove that the surface of the bridge was muddy that day? It's hockey beard. The surface of the bridge, huh?
Ha! A real man wouldn't stand for a taunt like this.
Neither would a real woman. course I can. Here's the evidence that proves the surface of the bridge was muddy. The scarf that is muddy that you gave us. The evidence is the scarf. Should be obvious. If the scarf fell onto the bridge and got this muddy, then it means the bridge is obviously covered in mud.
No, I can't be outwitted by a novice bimbo.
Hey, same to you, buddy. Mia must have lost this case, right? Because Edgeworth had a winning streak, only... Yeah, this case has a weird ending. Edgeworth definitely doesn't lose, I'll say that.
Mr. Faye's assertions make perfect sense to me. And I do admit that there appears to be contradiction between the condition of the victim's coat and her scarf. However, the real question is, why is there a contradiction?
Huh?
For every contradiction, there exists an explanation. Let's look at what the explanation in this case may be, shall we?
Alright. It's not like he's really giving me a choice here.
The defendant died, didn't he?
How much did you read?
Ha! You're doing pretty well for a little kitten.
Mr. Armando.
No matter what he says, a contradiction always comes down to a lie. See that the victim discovered in the trunk.
Really? That's a crazy guess of the defendant dying. You might be right about that. Anyway.
The witness's photo showing the defendant and the victim. Or the witness's testimony that stated she saw the moment of the murder. Just relax and think it over. It's pretty simple, isn't it? The false evidence is one of those three.
What you said just now, I'm not sure I like that. That wasn't me, Your Honor. It was the coffee aficionado over there that said it.
This court is not in the habit of accepting false evidence, you know. Blame it on him, Your Honor. He's the one trying to slip false evidence into court. But we won't let him. We'll expose his evidence as the flimsy scam it really is.
Yes. The false evidence in this case is the...
witness's testimony.
It's a no-brainer. Obviously, it's the witness that's suspicious. During his earlier testimony, the detective pointed out a crucial fact. The criminal shoved the victim down from behind and stabbed her in the back. Now, is that testimony exactly what the witness claims to have seen?
Yeah, that's what the witness told us.
That testimony is filled with holes. After all, the victim's coat isn't dirty at all.
That's true. It's not just true, it's the truth. There is a truly decisive witness in this case. And I'm certain that boy Wonder over there would have called them in the first place.
Your Honor, the defense requests to cross-examine the eyewitness. The testimony presented so far is not only vague, but contradictory as well.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, it appears that we'll need to hear from your mystery witness after all. You should brace yourselves. The brutal truth. Your Honor, the prosecution has no intention of hiding the witness from the court. We are prepared to present our witness at any time. Very well. Please bring forth your witness at this time.
What Mr. Edgeworth said kind of worries me. What does he mean by the brutal truth?
No, let's proceed with the testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, please go right ahead. Thank you, Your Honor. The prosecution summons the woman who saw the events that day with her very own eyes.
This is it, Mia. The battle begins here.
Witness, what is your name and occupation?
Everyone is so silent that I can hear their hearts go pitter-patter. Okay. Water. Well, they called the witness to the stand. Oh. They're like this testimony is contradictory to like the pieces of evidence. We need to call the witness, so they called her to the stand. When I look at you, how can I put it? You look as scrumptious as a double-double on a dozen donut holes. And a dozen donut holes. Okay? Feel like I want to hurry up and hand down a verdict just to have a bite? Hey. Hey, not so fast. And as I said before, this witness is very sensitive and delicate. I would ask the court to please exercise care when addressing her. Yes, indeed. Oh, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. You are a true gentleman. Miss Fee, you could learn a lot from that man. If he's such a gentleman, he sure doesn't act like one to me. Oh, freaking Dahlia's voice.
Sir? I think I got really close to the mic and just talked like this.
Something like that, right? Isn't that what I did? I got really close to the mic and talked like that? Sounds right to me. I'm gonna do that.
Sir?
Oh, yes, my dear.
This is my first time, so I'm sure I'll make a lot of mistakes. Anyway, I just wanted to say sorry for all the trouble I might cause.
No, not at all. No trouble at all. Now then, may we please have your name and occupation?
My name is, Melissa Foster. I'm a college student, a freshman in the literature department.
You were on the scene when the unfortunate event occurred, correct?
And you are the one who took this photo? Is that accurate?
How can you be so mean?
Now see here, what are you doing shoving that in her face like that? Huh? But it's just a photograph. It's not like it's something dangerous.
Next time will be first to penalize you.
Uh-oh. I don't like the turn this has taken. Is she staring at me?
And you would be...
Huh? I'm the defense attorney. My name is Mia Fey.
I see, so you are...
Now then, young lady, could you please give us your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll do my best. I was using my camera to take some pictures of wildflowers. Then I noticed there were two people standing up on the suspension bridge. Suddenly, they just started fighting. That's when I hurried and took the photo that shows the crucial moment. Right after that, I called the police.
By the way, where were you standing when the incident occurred? I believe the map would be of help here.
I was standing right for here. I was standing in a beautiful field surrounded by tall cliffs.
Oh, I'm getting raided by 6 people. Raid! So you took the photo from that location, eh?
Brought the camera I was using at the time, just like Mr. Edgeworth asked me to.
Ho ho ho, what a cute camera. Just like its owner. Welcome, peoples. Alright then, Miss Fay, time for your cross-examination. Canadian judge. Just finished a Paula Justice, nice. But I warn you, make the witness cry again and you'll feel the wrath of my gavel. I see you also do the Canadian judge justice. Oh, you gotta play up the accent, I guess. I was using my camera to take some pictures of wildflowers. Did you say wildflowers?
Yes, the mountain is famous for its beautiful spring wildflowers.
But it's only February.
Well, I couldn't wait for spring to come.
Oh ho, I know just how you feel. Just like when I first started growing this glorious beard of mine. I just couldn't wait, so I wore a dyed blonde Santa beard until mine grew in properly. We also come from Canada, so we approve. I'm probably mangling your accents, but I'm trying.
Would you mind if we got back to the facts of this case, Your Honor?
I noticed there were 2 people standing up on the suspension bridge. Is there anything strange about the 2 of them?
I'm a bad girl. I know I am. It looked like they were having a really serious conversation up there. So I decided to watch them, like some kind of peeping Tom.
No, not at all. Everyone is like that. I love watching other people fight too. In fact, I can't get enough of it. It's a mangled accent, so there's really no bad way. Yeah, well, I'm sure there's multiple different Canadian accents as far as I know, but I've been to Canada once. I don't remember anything. Hardly at all. Actually, that's why I took this job in the first place. Too much info, Your Honor.
In any case, it's perfectly natural for you to have kept watching them, especially dressed as they were.
Well, anyway, I was watching them very closely.
Suddenly, they just started fighting. You have any idea what they were fighting about?
No, I have no idea. Why do you ask that?
Oh, I just thought that maybe you overheard what they said.
I would never eavesdrop. I've got more class than that.
This rape, Miss Fee. Don't drag the witness down to your level. Grr. I don't know. Internal grr. That's when I hurried and took the photo that shows the crucial moment. Is that Newfie accent? I've never heard of that. Why'd you take the photo?
Well, the 2 of them were really going at it. Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a news reporter. I guess that part of me just kind of took over.
Smells like a lie to me. Yes, I understand completely. Even now, I can't completely abandon my boyhood dreams. Still use my grandson to test my comedy routines on. So I wanted to be a comedian, huh? Not that it has any bearing on this. Newfie is in Newfoundland. One of the maritime provinces.
All I could do was to use my camera. So I took the photo of the crucial moment and gave it to the police.
And right after that, I called the police. You called the police?
Yes, because it looked to me like the murderer was going to try to escape.
We were already moving before the call even came in. Thanks to the victim's note, we had already started our operation.
It was certainly tough luck for the criminal, eh? Terry Falls isn't the criminal. Then there must be something strange in that girl's testimony.
Be careful, kitten. That girl has the judge wrapped around her little finger. You're going to have a tough time poking holes in that testimony of hers.
You're gonna have to come up with something really good, Mia. Okay. I pressed everything. That's when I hurried to take the photo that shows the crucial moment. Ah, yes. Armando, my favorite. Witnesses photo. So I've actually played this game like a long time ago. And because of that, I'm not like sitting there trying to think through everything, because I kind of know the story already. So I just kind of... I'm not going to sit there going, I just have a guide. When you said you took a photo of the crucial moment, is that what you meant? All I can see in this photo are two people facing each other. You testified that you saw the two of them starting to fight. Normally that's the kind of thing we would refer to as a crucial moment. Why haven't you presented a photo like that?
Well, you see...
The photo we presented was the only one there was. But if you really wanted to capture the crucial moment, then what happened next? You must have taken a photo of it. Oh. My apologies, young lady. But Miss Faye's assertion is not without a certain amount of merit. He can certainly downplay a situation, can't he?
I'm sorry. I'm a very bad girl. I used it all up. The film, I mean.
You ran out of film.
This photo was the last one.
What? Unfortunately, that is the truth. I personally examined all the photographs she took that day. All the other photos are of the witness herself, playing among the wildflowers. The witness herself? Then who took the photos?
Well, you see, my camera has a timer feature built into it.
So you took photos of yourself? I remember taking some photos of myself once too. Please, no details. It seems that Miss Faye's assertion was not so decisive after all. But wait, just a minute. Well, if she had no film left, she couldn't very well take more pictures, eh? Miss Foster? Perhaps then you could tell us about a different sort of photo. Photos of the incident that you took with your very own eyes.
Mr. Edgeworth, you're quite the poet.
Very well then, let's get back to the cross-examination. Let's hear your thoughts on the fight that you witnessed.
Yes, Mr. Judge.
Boy, this guy is really a sucker for sweet talk.
Ha! It looks like the other kitten in the room is the one that's getting all the attention.
Yeah, it's sickening. Okay. Camera. Got the camera. I'll just start pressing. I didn't read the press statement. Whoops. Just probably saying like, I was taking pictures of wildflowers. Did you say wildflowers?
Yes, the mountain is famous for its beautiful spring wildflowers.
Ah, but it's only February.
Well, I couldn't wait for spring to come.
Oh, I know just how you feel. Just like when I first started growing this glorious beard of mine. I just couldn't wait, so I wore a dyed blonde Santa beard until I grew it in properly. Didn't they already say this? Or did I... already happened. Would you mind if we got back to the facts of this case, Your Honor? I noticed two people standing on a suspension bridge. They suddenly started fighting. Did I have like an entire separate section that just happened and I didn't even notice? They asked about false evidence, the camera, blah blah blah. Did I just have like a massive brain fart? Alright, Falls isn't the criminal. There must be something strange in that girl's testimony. Yeah. Whoa, I had a massive brain fart apparently. Okay. First statement, witness photo. Revised fourth or fifth statement. Oh, so she just revised statements. The victim turned around and tried to run away, but only got about 10 yards before she was stabbed in the back. Yeah, okay, I'm still in the same testimony. So... Pesky bridge map. I like lost my place. Witness, your testimony is a joke.
Huh? What? But I just...
Miss Faye, I thought I warned you not to make the witness cry. One short testimony and 2 bad contradictions. There's no possible excuse. You see, there were 2 contradictions. It's simple. Just take a look at this diagram of the area. According to her testimony, the 2 of them were in the middle of the bridge. But if they were, and the victim had turned around and tried to run, well then, she would have hit a dead end. You said 10 yards, but she couldn't have ran even 5, because Dusky Bridges collapsed on that side. What? I'm not gonna scream. What does this all mean? Very simple, Your Honor. This charming little witness told a charming little lie. That's all there is to it. This beautiful young lady has been lying to the court. Just a moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor, allow me to personally apologize for the confusion. What do you mean? There's one major mistake in this diagram. What did you say? What are you referring to? It's all because this diagram was made after the incident occurred. It's a very old bridge. We couldn't find any official blueprints of it. So you're saying? And I'm saying that even though this bridge is currently in disrepair, there's no evidence that can prove that the bridge was broken during the incident. That's ridiculous. You can't actually tell the condition of the bridge from this photo. And I apologize to the court for not being more clear when I presented this evidence.
Ah, that guy is good.
Huh? What do you mean?
He planned it from the very beginning. He's a genius, all right. That diagram of the bridge was his insurance policy.
What? That coward.
Well, Miss Fay, it seems like you've once again made a reckless accusation.
I'm so sorry. I should have been more careful myself.
No. It wasn't your fault. At all. Oops.
Now then, shall we go on with the trial? I'd like to establish once and for all what it was that the witness actually saw.
Indeed. All right, young lady. May I ask you to please proceed with your testimony?
But it's so hard to go on.
We're all on your side, Miss Foster.
There's no need to worry. Just tell us what you saw.
Yes, sir.
Running from the crime. Okay.
After he stabbed her in the back, he quickly picked her up in his arms, and he carried her over to the car. I suppose that was the only way he could make sure the body stayed hidden. He couldn't just leave the body on top of the bridge. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm only supposed to talk about what I saw.
Witnessing such violence must have been difficult.
Yes, sir. I'm still shaken up.
If he accepts this testimony as it is, we're finished.
Don't say that.
Oh well, maybe I'll stop off at my favorite cafe on the way home. They make a really great mocha latte.
This trial isn't over yet.
Ha! That's what I like to hear.
Alright, Miss Fay. Your cross-examination, if you please. Contradiction is staring you right in the face, Mia. Go on the attack. Running from the crime. Alright. After he stabbed her in the back, he quickly picked her up in his arms. Are you saying that the victim didn't fall down on the bridge?
Actually, maybe she did fall.
Of course she didn't fall down on the bridge. If she had fallen down, this photo wouldn't make any sense. If that was the case, her coat would have been all muddy.
Didn't you just argue that the bridge wasn't necessarily muddy? If you don't mind, I was asking the witness.
No need to be so rude.
Well, young lady.
Of course she didn't fall down. The man in the prison uniform grabbed her before she could.
Ha! We're one step too slow. And then what did the defendant do after that?
Then he carried her over to the car. You personally witnessed that.
Yes.
Did anything strange happen when he did that?
Well, I don't know if you'd call it strange or not, but that's when the victim's scarf fell off.
You mean this scarf? Her words match what we found at the scene. I don't see any problem. I suppose that was the only way we could make sure the body stayed hidden. You mean the defendant carried the body all by himself?
Yes.
Considering the size of the defendant, I don't think it would be difficult. Yes, but let's remember they were on a narrow bridge that was ready to collapse. Is it even possible for him to have carried a dead body on a bridge like that? Well, the fact of the matter is that he did. That kind of talk is just silly. Wow, why did he get so emotional all of a sudden? Miss Faye, if you think there's some other possibility, please share it with the rest of us. Couldn't just leave the body on top of the bridge. Why do you say that? It's already a broken down bridge hidden away in the mountains. Doing anything more to hide the corpse would be going overboard, wouldn't it? You just push it into the water at that point, right?
Yes, but that mountain is famous among hikers. A surprising number of people go up there.
But it's February, right? And it was raining that day, correct?
There's also a small temple and a channeling dojo there. You know those monks? They just love cold, isolated places.
And I think the witness is trying to say that the corpse could have been found at any time. Besides, the witness is merely reporting what she witnessed with her own eyes. That's right, I forgot where this took place. Oh, I'm sorry, I was only supposed to talk about what I saw. I guess I can press that, it's kind of a weird thing to press. And you're absolutely certain that it was my client who was carrying the body.
Well, he was wearing a prisoner's uniform, but as for his face...
So you're saying you didn't get a clear look at his face?
Well, they were far away and it was raining as well. I thought I was only supposed to say exactly what I saw.
Excellent! You're a remarkably honest young woman. Something about this testimony is bothering me, but what?
Hey, kitten. Have you ever put salt in your coffee?
No, why would I?
Why not?
Huh?
It may actually go better with coffee than sugar, right? Listen, my point is that if you're not sure, you might as well add a ton of salt to it. It might bring out the rust in something, like a piece of evidence.
He's right, Mia. Go present something. You got nothing to lose.
By the way, I wouldn't put salt in my coffee. The two don't go well after all.
Whoa. Why? Why would you say that? Okay. Alright, so I suppose that was the only way he could make sure the body stayed hidden. But you go to the Dusky Bridge map, and he could have just pushed it into the water. Heller not wanting his victim to be found, I can understand that. However, the idea of moving the body for that purpose is clearly odd. There was a much easier way to make sure the body wasn't found. Well, what is it? Take another look at the map in the area and you'll see how. The river right below the bridge. Earlier, Mr. Edgeworth pointed out something interesting about the river. For those who are not aware, Eagle River is well known for its powerful current. Most bodies that fall in the river are never recovered. Ah! In a kidnapping case 5 years ago, the victim's body was carried away and never found. If 10 murders were to occur in that same spot above Eagle River, you can bet your boots that every other killer would have tossed the body in the water. Order, order, order! I'm not sure I care for the way you put that, Miss Faye. But I must admit it does seem odd to not have thrown the body in the river. Ooh, I don't know. Well, Mr. Edgeworth. How sad. Perhaps Miss Faye would do well to try taking a dip in the river herself. After all, you claim to be such an expert in the ways of nature. What are you talking about? My point is that no matter how odd you find the killer's method of body disposal, the fact is that this is what the killer did. None of your other arguments have anything to do with what the witness saw. Wait, true. Miss Fay, it seems that your assertion's without merit after all. But what the witness claims to have seen is totally ridiculous. Surely you can't deny that the body was found in the trunk of the car. It's certainly consistent with what the witness has told us. Ah. Please, witness, go on with your testimony.
I'll try.
All you have to do is tell us what you saw. Otherwise, the mean lady might yell at you again. What is he talking about? Literally, you're the only other person. Alright.
Alright, I'll do my best.
Living out the back of the car, or whatever that. Yeah. She's not living out the back of the car. Alright, so, okay. By-third statement. So, the killer broke into the trunk of the stolen car and hid the body in there. If you stole the car, you probably didn't have to break into it, but alright. We're more like deaden. We're deaden out the back of the car. I don't know. Oh, yeah, okay. Just keep presenting that Dusky Bridge map over and over again. Well, Miss Foster, looks like you've done it this time.
Done what?
Made a crucial mistake. Crucial mistake? Like what, Miss Fay? The killer broke into the trunk of the stolen car and hid the body in there. You're saying you saw that, right? With your own eyes? Very own eyes?
Yes, and?
It's simple, Miss Foster. Take a look at the diagram. The place you claim to have taken the photo from that day is here. Do you see what I mean? Even if you tried to see the car, this outcropping of rock is directly in the way.
Ah!
That's right, Miss Foster. From where you are standing, you could not have possibly seen the killer's car.
Ah!
And I admit that the diagram shows a large outcropping of rock. However, it isn't so tall that it would stop her from seeing the car.
That's right. It's not high at all. I was able to see his car just fine.
I'm sorry, but that just doesn't wash. I believe it was a witness who presented this as evidence to the court, yes? This is the location that the photo was taken from. Your own photo tells the whole story. You can clearly see the left side of the bridge, but the outcropping that is being referred to is really more like a cliff. Ah! Your view should have been completely cut off by this cliff, but you still claim to have been able to see the killer's car. I love this music.
No!
Order! Order in the court! What is the meaning of all this ballyhoo? Ballyhoo? What? I don't know that. What is the meaning of all this ballyhoo? Your Honor, don't jump to any hasty conclusions. The fact that the escapee fled in a stolen car was reported on the news. And after witnessing a murder, I'm sure you can appreciate that the witness was very upset. She must have heard about the stolen car and convinced herself that she saw it. But she was repeatedly warned before starting her testimony. She was told to testify only about what she saw with her very own eyes. Oh! Oh, Miss... Wait, did I do the wrong voice there?
Mr. Judge?
What is it?
I think I must have remembered things wrong.
Hey, wait a minute, you can't just say that. Miss Fay, no one on the face of the planet is perfect. Yes, indeed. Quite true. You know what they say. To err is human, to forgive divine. I'm inclined to give the benefit of the doubt to our witness here. I want to say doot. I don't know if that's how that's actually said. What? That's not fair. Save the tears for later, kitten. Mr. Armando. Don't look back until the trial is over.
Now is the time to go forward.
But that wasn't fair.
Okay, kitten, you need to relax. Then you need to remember the other kitten's testimony.
Killer broke into the trunk of the stolen car and hid the body in there.
So tell me, how did she know that? How did she know that he broke into the trunk?
Ah,
Well, Miss Foster, until you can explain how you knew that, you're going to have a lot of very suspicious people on this side of the courtroom. Will witness.
Well, I'm certain that he broke into the trunk because there were marks left on the trunk lid. Certain they were scratch marks from when he broke into it.
what? Let me see that photo.
It's true. These certainly look like scratch marks around the keyhole. It's obvious that this trunk has been broken open. Well, Miss Fay, are you satisfied?
The judge is on her side. Can't make any mistakes here. What she just said. Is there a contradiction in there somewhere?
Wait. Doesn't work? Okay.
Melissa Foster. Looks like you finally betrayed yourself.
What?
You said you were in a field taking photos of wildflowers. But even so, you knew about the scratches. The question is when? When did you get a chance to see those scratches? Finally. I finally got her.
Ah, I'm getting pretty tired waiting over here.
Then perhaps it would be faster if Miss Fay explained it herself.
Your Honor, there's only one possible explanation. The reason the witness had seen the scratches was...
No. This is a college kid. Okay.
Okay, just check the guide. She put the corpse in herself! There's only one way that the witness had the chance to see those scratches.
Yes? What is it?
Naturally, when she opened the trunk and stuffed the corpse in herself. The person who really hid the body in the trunk of that car was Melissa Foster. It was you that did it, wasn't it?
That's ridiculous. I could never. It was the man in the prison garb. He's the one that.
I don't think so, Miss Foster. Mr. Falls had been the one to put the corpse in the trunk. He would have simply used the car key. There was no need to break it open.
But he stole the car.
I like how they brought that up. That's something I was like, but wait a second. He had the car keys. Why would he break it open? They addressed it. I like that. Good job, game.
He stole it from a young couple that had been waiting at a red light, which means that the key would still have been in the ignition.
Oh, I see.
Thank you for telling us about the scratches, Miss Foster. Without that, we never would have uncovered the truth. That it couldn't have been Mr. Falls who put the body in the trunk.
No!
Preposterous to even suggest that the witness put the body in there. And if that were true, then how do you explain the photo that she took? The corpse could have only been put in the trunk when the incident occurred. Then we already know that at that time she was taking photographs with a timed camera.
Now's your chance, Mia. Finish this thing. On the contrary, I'm not so certain about that anymore, Mr. Edgeworth. There's no need to think too deeply about it. What I'm saying is that the shutter for this may not have been pushed by Miss Foster herself. Let's take another look at this camera and see what features it has, shall we? There's a timer built into it, even a mini tripod. Why? It's almost as if she brought this camera just to take this picture.
And what are you trying to say then, Miss Fay? That when the crime occurred, Miss Foster wasn't in the field as she claimed?
Well, if she really did use the camera's auto timer, then the answer is yes, she was somewhere else. Exactly, she was not in the field.
Would the defense please explain further?
Listen, this is a crucial point. Where was Miss Foster when the incident occurred? And answering that question will also make clear Miss Foster's true identity.
Well then, please answer this question. Where was Melissa Foster when the incident on the bridge occurred? Over by the car. Oh, point to the. Whoa, okay.
Naturally, the witness was right here.
But that's where the victim is Hawthorne was standing.
That surprised me.
Order, Miss Fay, what on earth?
Your Honor, if I may. After parting with the victim on the bridge, the defendant fled by car. But this would mean that there was no time to put the victim in the trunk. In other words, if someone put the body in the trunk, it could have only been before the defendant met the victim.
How asinine! Of course Mr. Falls met the victim. The only person with the opportunity to put the victim in the trunk is the same man that killed her, Terry Falls.
You still don't understand, do you, Mr. Edgeworth? By the time the witness's photo was taken, the victim was already dead. The person in the photo was not Valerie Hawthorne.
What? I've never heard anything more ridiculous in my entire life. Then who exactly is the victim in this photo?
It's obvious, isn't it? It's your own witness. What? It's the only possible explanation. The woman that Mr. Falls met on the bridge that day was not Valerie Hawthorne. It was you, Melissa Foster.
Me?
Wait, is this the old music from game 1? Wait, is it? I can't actually remember. I have to. It's hard for me to like think of what a song is when I am listening to another song. No, it's not. Is this the third game music? Okay. Anyway,
Let's remember that it was raining and foggy on the mountain that day. Mr. Falls himself believed that the woman in front of him was Valerie Hawthorne.
But the defendant knew Valerie Hawthorne very well. After all, she was the woman whose testimony helped get him convicted.
But since then, my client has been spent 5 hard years in a federal penitentiary. He couldn't remember exactly what she looked like anymore.
You are just making this up as you go. Where's your proof?
And I've got it all right here. This piece of evidence will blow this case wide open. At the time of the incident, Mr. Falls had forgotten what Valerie Hawthorne looked like. Because of the scarf. He asked for the scarf. Wear a white scarf for identification.
I don't even need to check the guide for that. Come on.
Mr. Falls had forgotten the victim's face. That's why he needed some piece of identification. Namely, this muddy scarf. It was Mr. Falls who requested that she wear this scarf to identify herself. That's already been proven by the note the victim left. In other words, as long as you were wearing a scarf like he asked, anyone could have pretended to be Valerie Hawthorne. Ha! Well, what do you have to say to that, Melissa Foster?
No, no!
And then she faded out of existence. Oh, she fainted.
Where's Miss Foster? She's collecting herself in the lobby.
I know it's not so good, is it?
It's obvious that... Oh, I almost did the judge voice. It's obvious that Melissa Foster did it. She hid the body in the trunk and disguised herself as the victim. She set up a camera to take a fake photo of them together.
The only question is, why did she do it?
Wasn't that obvious? She's the real culprit.
Ha! But that's not why... What?
We'll have to wait for Miss Foster to compose herself before we start again. Till then, this court's in recess. The defense and the prosecution are both to wait in their respective lobbies.
Yes, Your Honor.
Understood.
Free will. This court is in recess. Okay. It is past my bedtime, and we're at the 4-hour mark, which is basically where my voice needs a break, and I can tell it does. This part of the case, though, all these voices I'm doing are like not bad on my voice, and that's the only reason why like I've been able to keep going because all these voices are fine. Like the normal judge, he kind of like messes with my voice a bit with the voice that I give for him, and then just various characters that show up kind of mess with my voice a little bit. But there's nothing. This is buttery smooth characters. All right, so we'll pick it up talking to Mr. Falls. I'm sorry. Okay. Pick it up there next time. Yeah, thanks for watching. It was cool. We got some other people drop by. Maybe do it tomorrow night too? Maybe? I'm not sure. You let me know what you want to do, Katie. Maybe we will watch stuff, or maybe we will stream some more Ace Attorney. I'll leave it up to you. Everyone else, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later. Thanks for dropping by. Bye bye.